Incredible indeed. Thank you, Scotty, for just resubscribing. And hello, this is the final round of the oNiD Sim Hound LMU 100 series powered by Coach Dave Academy. And where better to end than here in sunny Florida. We're at Sebring International Raceway with its 3.7 mile GP road course layout with 17 turns, and as you can see, a very bumpy surface around this venue as always. And maybe for the final time, I'm joined by Sam. Sam, how are you doing today?
Yeah, very well. A little sleepy after the F1, but I'm here. So join us middle of qualifying at Sebring, a track that's it's a bit like Marmite for the drivers, isn't it? I think, Tom. A lot of them enjoy it. Some of them really detest it, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it's for me, it's a venue I always really enjoy. I think it's one with a lot of character. It's kind of unique compared to everywhere else because, as I mentioned earlier, it's really bumpy layout. Kind of makes certain corners, especially like the one we're coming up to now, quite challenging because it can just unsettle the car a little bit going into the corner and can easily spin you around. So it's just that little bit of character, that little bit of uniqueness, which I think can make it popular to some drivers, but then also be an absolute pain in the tooth to others, because it can be an absolute Achilles heel to learn. As we follow Nick Manders across the line, that's the first flying lap time of the session, a 1 minute 50.744. Obviously that puts Manders to the top of the times, as we still wait for else to come out, obviously in the Porsche Penske Motorsport Grid Porsche. And then actually he's been beaten by Zach Finney in the Toyotas at 1 minute 48.100 to go top of the times before Ben Shawley sets 1 minute 46.649 to go top of the times, 1.451 faster than anyone else. And well, really, Finney's the only one that's anywhere near at the moment. Shabby, the next closest driver, in the third position, over 2 seconds off, and that's just under 3 seconds shy. If we look down into the GT field, it's Christian Kiesig. He's currently leading the LMGT3 championship, so he's doing all he needs to do here to make sure he exits this round as champion with the fastest time in the session, and 1.1 seconds faster than Temenga in the Ford Mustang, who seems to be having a decent session. Someone else who's up for the Hypercar Championship, depending on who turns up today, is Angela Scott, currently running in third position in the number 75 Porsche Penske Motorsport Special Liveried Porsche. It's just behind Zach Finney and Shawley, but again, it seems that Finney's the only driver that's really anywhere close to Ben Shawley at the moment, who's really setting the pace in his Peugeot.
Indeed, yeah. Indeed, so a great start for a lot of the drivers here. I mean, a second off Temenga is from Kiesig at Sand, but again, not far off that are the remaining drivers there, Townsend, Hammer, and even Ashley's not too far away. We usually have to say, ignore Kiesig as a benchmark for qualifying. He's so quick, he just skews the rest of the field there. Scotty, by the way, purple in Sector 1, nearly a 10th improvement on the best Sector 1 so far, is putting in a bit of flying lap so far, but again, they've got 2 and a bit seconds to improve to have a sniff in at the pole as Runar Botolfsen gets pushed up to second, gets pushed down to third immediately by Zach Finney in that rapid Toyota in the field tonight.
Yeah, absolutely flying in that car, and actually everyone getting a little bit past now. Alex Shahabi popping up into second position in his Ferrari 499P, the only driver within 2 seconds currently of Ben Shawley, but I'm sure Angela Scott can pull something out of the bag here. Only one more corners to go in their lap now, so we'll turn the car in, jumps onto the brakes, down into fourth gear, down to third. You can see right on the limit as they come around the final corner and apply the power back on to come down the start finish straight. So let's see, it's green for Angela Scott, and it is another green, and that has moved them up just behind Alex Shahabi by only a couple of thousandths, but with only 1.986 of Ben Shawley, so a decent lap time in the end for Scotty, but only enough to go third. Anton Temenga trying to go for pole in the GTs, but in the end he's only got good enough for fourth position, so moves on to the second row of the GT3 field before Johnny Ashley moves him down, moving up into third position in that class. Johnny, one of the drivers fighting to finish on the podium in the LMGT3 championship here tonight, and is in a good spot, being ahead of Tyler Hammer and Atul Bhaskar as well. Zach Silva, the sole runner in the Cadillac V Series R car is currently outside of the top 5, running in 6th position, and actually is down in the first and second sector as it currently stands, but still has the final corner and final sector, obviously, to try and redeem themselves over this lap. Gets to the 300 meter board, starts slamming that Mustang down the gears very violently. The V8 rumbles around the corner up towards the start finish line. It's going to get ever so close to the outside wheel, but it's just kept it out and will come across the line now. And it is, I think it may have been an improvement in the end, but only still sees them sitting in 6th position.
Yeah, unfortunately not an improvement for them. Joe Pinder, though, improves up to 9th, pushed down to 10th by Charlie Morgan, who now resides in 8th. Again, pushed down to 9th by Dave Spiller, who crosses the line in that Porsche. You mentioned, obviously, we're at Sebring, we're in Florida. We haven't mentioned the track temperature, Tom. 39 degrees C, so very, very toasty out there, and obviously the drivers will be trying to manage those temps and avoid any kind of lockups or oversteery moments that'll put even more pressure and temperature into those tyres that they will be wanting to avoid. Tyler Hammer, by the way, in the GT3 field up to 3rd now, and Matthias Fuskin up to 4th as well.
Yeah, so that, just shows how competitive that GT3 field is. With Johnny, who was in the podium position just a moment ago, now sitting on the edge of the top 5, actually now knocked out of the top 5 as Petty Jelinek goes up into 3rd position. Also Townsend in the BMW as well. Here he is, Matt Townsend, was so close, only 17 thousandths of Christian Kiesig. And we said Kiesig is normally unobtainable, but Matt Townsend honestly feeling very confident flying, was only, as I said, a matter of tenths away. As he's green now in the first sector as well. So this is definitely this BMW driver feeling they can take pole position away from the ever so dominant Christian Kiesig as they come now through the middle sector.
Yeah, we can see they're on their dash up at least 2 tenths as it stands. Obviously, Kiesig themselves are also on a lap looking to defend their pole time. Townsend, obviously, personal improvement in the first sector. Not quite enough to topple the best sector 1 in the class, but definitely enough to topple the sector 2 purple sector 2 by over 2 tenths as well. He flicks it in here as he approaches turn 16 now, I believe it is. This right-hander opens up massively, uses all the exit and more, all the track limits and more as he heads his way down to turn 17. Sunset Bend, tricky corner, very long corner, lots of time to get it wrong. We can see that the delta dropped down to a 10th now, just under that as he crawls his way towards turn 17. Flicks it in, obviously, onto the brakes, balances that nice. He does pick up some time gain, though, so maybe here is where it'll matter most. I say that is moving towards the 000 delta as we speak. Crosses the line up to 1st, but only just, and not as much as by. He could have been earlier on the lap.
I suppose that gives a bit of confidence though to Matt Townsend, knowing that they can still find a little bit more time in their stab head. But Christian Kiesig, green in the middle sector, is it enough to go back onto pole position? No, it's not. An orange last sector and only a 2-minute 04 in the end. So it's actually over a second and nearly a half off of Matt Townsend in the end. So Christian Kiesig needs to find something in the remaining 5 minutes and 20 seconds now to go in this qualifying session. Petty Jelinek also getting quite close now with the rest of the field, all of them within a second now of the pole position time as well. But yeah, the pressure is now on for Christian Kiesig to try and find something over the remainder of this lap. And the other thing is that Matt Townsend, if he can find a little bit more time as well, which we know he's left on the table, he could easily extend his margin at the top. So yeah, pressure really on now for Kiesig.
Yeah, certainly are. Jelinek also not totally miles away as we see Kiesig purple sector 1, as you mentioned. In the hypercar field as well, it's about the same as we left it. Ben Shuley obviously leads the way by over a second. Finney Shahabi currently sitting 2nd and 3rd. And I'll remind you as well, that time there on the board isn't to the next person in the field, it's to the leader. So Shahabi has a paper's width between him and Finney as they cross the line.
Yeah, and then if you, in Shawley's case, you've got basically actually not a whole other car, but quite a bit of a gap between you and everyone else in the end. As Matt Townsend was a little bit down in the first sector, was 6 tenths down in the middle, and actually it was Christian Kiesig, purple sector 1, but 3 tenths down from their best in sector 2. So it's all really probably going to come down to what Kiesig can pull out of his final sector. It's probably going to be very close as he comes up towards Sunset Bend now. The very bumpy final turn here around Sebring. Has to, well, go full send in there, but make sure he doesn't over-rotate the car too much, which he does. He goes sideways, these backwards. He has over-rotated too much, and that is Christian Kiesig. I mean, throwing the lap time away. He's going to have to turn the car around, just about keeps it out of the inside concrete barrier, and well, he's going to lose a little bit of lap time on the next lap as well, because he's going to hit the start finish line with a little bit less speed because of where he's spun and obviously loss of momentum, so it's going to hinder this lap time as well. So for Christian Kiesig, that is rather going, but still has 3 minutes 14 seconds to go to try and steal away that pole position from Matt Townsend. Zach Silver now only running inside the top 5. That was an improvement. I think it's jumped out ahead of Charlie Morgan, who was sitting in 5th a few moments ago, but is still 2.3 seconds back from the current pole position time in the field, and actually is under about 8 tenths back from Angela Scott, who is running in 4th position as well. So a lot of time to be found for Zach Silver, and probably he wants to find a little bit here over this lap, and actually he's found a decent amount. It's green in the first sector, so we're still finding time over the lap. We'll come now into the braking zone and we'll head up towards turn 10 in just a moment here as he goes up to turn 10 now, and it's looking decent. We'll have to see what his middle sector is as he comes towards Bishop. I mean, turn 14. It's green again, and is only a matter down from the best middle sector we've seen. Only 85 thousandths of a second down from what would have been a purple middle sector. So obviously the Cadillac strong through that section of the circuit. So now as we come down towards Sunset Bend into turn 17, now we'll jump onto the brakes here, turns the car in, and again has to be careful not to over-rotate like we saw the Porsche do a minute ago, but hugs that inside concrete wall, and it's got a decent run onto the start finish line now. So we'll have to see, can Zach Silver improve up the order? He comes across the line, it is an improvement, a 1 minute 47, but it's still not enough to jump ahead of Angela Scott. He's just less than a tenth behind, and oh, that's a big one. It's spun it around, will spin to the inside. Will he be able to keep it outside? Oh, he hasn't. He's hit the tyres straight on.
Yeah, and even still, there's not enough time for him, so that would be his last opportunity scarpered. And similarly, we saw Christian Kiesig go on and resume that lap after his spin, which meant he didn't choose to reset the pits and go again and try and get those tyres at a temp. Hasn't worked out for him. Matt Townsend obviously sits in P1 in the LMGT3 field and isn't improving either. But, you know, he's done very well to pip Christian Kiesig. Both his drivers, I'm sure, have a little bit more pace inside them, but maybe they can deploy that come race time as well. Let's see if we've got anyone else maybe on our lap. We've got Tyler Hammer here, slightly slower in the first sector. And if we go onboard and see his delta is improving slightly there, we can see over a tenth. And he does need, let's see, at least, let's say 2 tenths to jump ahead of Petr Yanlek. So we'll need a little bit more than that as he comes his way towards Bishop, as you described earlier on. He has plenty of time still to make up a bit of time on his lap. Flicks in, carries a fair amount of speed, try not to scrub too much, but also try and keep it nice and tidy as he opens up this corner here. Flicks it into the right-hander. Now a run down to the last corner / couple corners. It is quite a long one, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do enough despite the purple middle sector.
Yeah, I was going to say he needs to find something, because at the moment he's in a decent spot to try and move ahead of Johnny Ashley in the championship. He's currently 4th with Tyler Hammer in 5th and 5 points behind. But actually, and both of them doing better than Dmitry Yaroshenko as well. So out of those 3, Tyler Hammer in the best spot at the moment. Does come across the line with a 2 minute 03. So was that an improvement in the end?
No, it wasn't. So he still sits behind Petr Yanlek. A driver who will want to improve as well, Nick Manders. We see that it is an improvement on his dash, but marginal improvement, and that won't be enough to gain. It was like Nick Manders starting down in P9th then at the end of this qualifying. Not where he'd want to be, and not where, you know, his pace would usually put him.
No, so it's going to have to be a bit of a comeback from him. Zach Finney comes up across the line now with yellow, and comes across the line in the end. doesn't improve, stays second position at the end of that lap and still over a second back from Ben Shorley. And Scar is purple in the middle sector. It's currently sitting in 4th position and was a 10th down from, well, actually was yellow in the first sector, and it was only about just under 2 tenths back from the fastest time in that sector. So it's all going to come down and get to this final sector in the BMW. But his championship currently sits in 2nd, was a little bit too far back to challenge Kiesig for the title. But I mean, one final win wouldn't go amiss. Comes across the line at 2-minute 03, but it's not enough to improve his position. Stays in 4th, and oh hello, out of nowhere, Alfie Bevan has shown up. As we can see, he's only just joined the session, as we can't see his car, but I can tell you he's driving the Ferrari 499P, and that's a mistake, he's off the circuit, and well, actually, that's going to be it for Alfie then. That's going to be 14th position, so, well, that has made it difficult, but very interesting for our championship.
Yeah, indeed. Very, very interesting. Obviously, Alfie Bevan will start at the back of the hypercar field, but in front of the GT3 field, despite not setting a lap. Let's have a quick look at the starting order then, shall we?
Yes, I think we shall. Here it is. Row 1, pole position went the way of Ben Shorley, with Zach Finney joining him on the second position on the front row of the grid. Then it's Alex Shahabi in 3rd position, and Angela Scott currently in 3rd in the championship, running in 4th. On row 3, you've got Zach Silver in the Cadillac V Series R and Charlie Morgan in 6th position. On row 4, you've got Runa Patolfson and Joe Pinder in another Peugeot. Then on row 5, it's Nick Manders and Daniel Chavez in 10th position. Then on row 6, you've got two Porsches. In 11th, it's Max Savchuk, and in 12th, it's Dave Splitner. Then on row 7, it is Tom Watson, and the pole position in the GT3 class, Matt Townsend. Then you've got 2nd and 3rd with Christian Kiesig and Petr Jelinek on row 8. Then rounding out the top 5 of the LMGT3 field, you've got Atal Baskar and Tyler Hammer, running in a BMW and the Corvette. Then on row 10, you've got Mateus Fusken, and in the Ford Mustang, Atom Temenga. Then on row 11, it's Johnny Ashley in the BMW and the first of the McLarens of Dave Zlecki. Then on row 12, it's Dmitry Yaroshenko in one of the Ferraris, joined in another Ferrari by Alex Parkin. Then on row 13, you've got Tim Bob in another one of the McLarens. And then 26th, well, according to this, but we'll start at the back of the hypercar field, is Alfie Bevan.
Indeed. That was very quick. Thank you very much for running us through that. Let's get the tower back on, shall we? There we go. So obviously...
So sorry. I was going to say, there was a question in chat. Alfie, it says Alfie's last, but he will start in 14th in the hypercar field, and that's only because he only just joined the session when the qualifying ended, so he didn't actually get a fast lap in. As Sam, I'll let you take over again.
Yeah, everyone lining up on the front row of that Peugeot, which is getting some love in the chat, I think, from Zombie Visuals. I quite like the look of it, to be honest. It's quite interesting, quite radical. But they're all quite different, the hypercars, so it's good that they've got some character. But off they go, crawling their way towards what is the final corner, getting as much temperature they can in their tyres and brakes, while also avoiding any erratic driving penalties on the start, any starting infringements, things like that. So a bit of a balance, bit of a challenge, really. So around the final corner.
So, well, it's been an interesting season, all sorts of different race winners, and, well, a decently close championship ending in the hypercar field, which we'll have to keep an eye on throughout. Can Angela Scott improve from their 4th place scoring position at the moment, or will Alfie Bevan come through the field and try and secure his championship all the way back from 14th? We'll have to find out now as it goes green, and it's a big off in the background. The hypercar field's crashing. That's a huge pile-up, massive pile-up. It's taken out Kiesig, it's taken out Townsend as well in the leading the LMGT3 field. It's Mateus Fusken did it as well. Tyler Hammer's in that crash as well, and that is a big one to start this race off. One of the Jota cars that's gone up as well. He's just been reversed into by Tyler Hammer in the Corvette. They're still all blocking the circuit, and I don't know how that happened. That was literally green, and they'd already run into each other. It has changed the higher up part of the hypercar field. It was Zach Silver in 5th, Nick Manders all the way up to 6th position now after that messy start. Alfie Bevins is already up to 8th position from 14th on the grid, and there's still bumping going on, as I believe Angela Scott just went in the back of Alex Shahabi, and then of course the Constantino effect was Zach Silver then going into the back of her as well. Now as we come into the braking zone, it's actually got a lot. It looks like the cars are separated out now, and it has got quite a bit cleaner this part of the race, but that was quite an interesting start as we now go to a replay. Here's what happened. Is the LMGT3 both coming into them. Temengo involved as well. I think that's Johnny Ashley there as well involved in that accident, and it's just an absolute pile-up, Sam.
Yeah, it really is. There's a couple of different angles there, but it looks like the hypercars are already having an issue before the GT3s arrive. And obviously, where can they go when they're already, you know, throttle all the way down and nowhere to go, no visibility, etc. So, new wingless Ferrari for Fuskin there, as someone said in chat. Doesn't look as good without the wing, I don't think, but I think that the rest of the field underway without issue. Ben Shorley, Zach Finney making a real break for it up the front. Alex Shahabi leads the rest of the way from the hypercar field. And actually, let's get the overlay back on because it's decided not to cooperate. There we go. Let's see what's happening with the GT field as well. Atabasco putting Kiesing under pressure, and obviously that's dropped Matt Townsend all the way to the back of the GT field, not including the pit stops that they'll inevitably have to make to repair any of that damage and maybe replace tyres, etc. But really is putting Kiesing under pressure. Johnny Ashley 5 seconds down the road, really, and has Dmitry Yashenko under his wing instead. So, yeah, it's still chopped and changed a fair bit. Johnny Ashley up 5 places from the start after that carnage. There's no other way to describe it, to be honest. And Tatomenko also just getting ahead of Alex Parkin. There is a yellow flag, and that's Charlie Morgan having an issue. Sorry.
I just wanted to ask, oh yeah, Charlie Morgan driving all alongside that left-hand wall. I think that's down into the hairpin in turn 7. But I was going to ask you, how many positions is Yaroshenko up? Because I'm pretty sure they started 23rd? Like in the high 20 positions, and I don't know, and now all the way up into 15th.
6 places he's up. And I've also just seen, there is another button on my list here. We are going to click on this. I know this is another replay of the start we've all seen, but this is from the hypercar perspective. This is on Tom Watson, but nothing specific there. Oh, it's the Peugeot having an issue, it seems, then.
And then Per Jelinek as well. Poor Per Jelinek had a very good qualifying session. Started on the second row of the field, and now is, well, a bit involved in that almighty shunt in, well, not even into turn 1 on the start-finish straight, as Tom Watson is trying to make their way back up through the order after, well, being in the wars of lap 1, and is behind Dave Shalecki for 19th position in this race. Obviously, this is not where the hypercar wants to be. Charlie Morgan still trying to cramp that other Porsche Penske car back to the pits, and it's just whacked it into the DHL advertising. Thank you, George _RSS has joined the community, so thank you very much for the follow. I hope you're enjoying the race. It's been quite a hectic start here at the LMU 100 series by oNiD and Sim Hound, powered by Coach Dave Academy. We're here looking at the battle for 6th position, and it's currently Alfie on an absolute charge through the field, up started 14th up to 6th position. And well, I mean, we couldn't really doubt him. He's absolutely flying that 499p, and now sets his sights on trying to get past Zach Silver in the Cadillac V Series R with the BMW. Actually, not the BMW, it's actually Angela Scott just up the road as well. So yeah, Alfie doing all that he needs to do to try and wrap up this championship in the hypercar class today. So actually, and this is going to help us. Zach Silver's run wide heading into the hairpin turn 7 now as we head up towards turn 8. Alfie is itching all over the rear of the Cadillacs V Series R. He's going to look one way, he's going to look to the inside into turn 10. They jump onto the brakes now. Alfie's there, but there's no real way through for him. He's going to look to the inside again. No, there's no room there again. So he's going to stick, well, basically try and mock what Zach Silver is doing, and he's going to see if he can try and find his way through. He's going to look to the right again. There's not really any space for Alfie to get through this part of the race. Is nearly gone straight into the back of the Cadillac, and he's really over the rear of Zach Silver at the moment. There's really nothing he can do. In absolute perfect symmetry with what Zach Silver's doing at the moment as they head now down towards Sunset Bend, turn 17. He's sticking to the inside, trying to stay in line with Zach Silver's mirrors to let him know he's there. He's gone to the outside line to give him a tyre of entry to go down the inside. He knew that Zach Silver was going to understeer wide, and now he knew he could just put a power on and drive it down the inside there. Great move by Alfie Bevan.
Yeah, certainly. And had that all lined up ahead of time, had it all under control there, and moves up to P5. 9 places gained from the start, and Angelo Scotti is next on his radar, which is crucial to know, because Angelo Scotti is in contention for the win in the hypercar field. If Alfie Bevan, I don't know if it just doesn't finish or if it has to be behind Angelo. I'm not sure. I can't remember on points, but yeah, these two are championship rivals as it stands. Angelo Scotti themselves just under a second away from Chahabi for the final podium spot in the hypercar field. We've also got a bit of a train, a bit of a battle back here in the G3 field. We've got Ashley leads from Yaroshenko, who's not far at all away from Tomenga, who's just ahead of Tim Bob, if you see what I mean. So 4 cars here, I think, yes. All waiting for a opportunity to strike. Tim Bob there bringing up the rear in his McLaren.
I was going to add as well to that, not Alex Shabby, that Angela Scott and Alfie Bevan's fight is the fact that currently where they are, Angela Scott outscores Alfie by 4 points, which theoretically, in terms of championship standings, should move her ahead of him in the championship. So it does mean that as it stands that Angela Scott would be the champion, but the issue is Alfie is just that much quicker, and it's going to go to the inside as we head up towards turn 17, and this could be it for Angela Scott's championship chances as Alfie goes to the inside and he is through before they've made it to the entry of the corner. It looks like Scotty's going to try and go for the switchback on that tighter line, but it just Alfie gets the better drive from the corner and moves up into 4th position, and now will try and set their sights on the back of Alex Shabi. The good news is for Angela is the fact that if Alfie gets stuck behind Shabi, it does mean that they may have an opportunity to try and get past Alfie once again. So we will have to keep an eye on this battle, and it does mean, and it does look like it's closing up between all of them currently, but all 3 of them separated by less than a second on the same piece of tarmac. But it does look like both the Ferraris are stretching their legs and getting away from the Porsche as we come to the battle in the GT3 lead. It's Atal Baskar up against Christian Kiesig. It's basically Kiesig's title sealed, but Atal Baskar will want to make it look close as they come up towards turn 17 again. It's a favourite overtaking spot so far in this race. Down the inside he goes, sticks the BMW's nose up the inside, they're millimetres away from touching one another, but on the title line again, it does look like Atal Baskar is going to get a better run and slot in ahead of the Porsche, so it goes into first position now, and it does mean Christian Kiesig gives up the race lead.
Yeah, again, for the obviously had Matt Townsend dealt with, and here comes Atal Baskar, who's up 2 places from the start, obviously, and has usually a pretty good amount of pace as well, so it's no surprise he's here tussling with Christian Kiesig. But here's the thing as well, there is strategy to think about. Christian Kiesig has kind of always had that different approach to strategy to a lot of the other GT3 drivers, whether that be a fuel saving engine map, or just lifting and coating a bit more and making that work. So there is that thing. I said, yeah, we're barely into this race. We've got 90 minutes to go. These GT3 cars do have to stop as Alfie Bevan slots up ahead into 3rd for the final podium spot, by the way, in the hypercar field. So maybe it's not all said and done yet for Kiesig. So I wouldn't count him out as it stands. Tony actually holding on to 3rd in the GT3 field. For now, Yaroshenko isn't that far behind. Neither is Tomenga in that Mustang, who's just getting closer and closer, it seems, to the back of the Ferrari ahead of him. And here's a hypercar to mix things up.
I mean, trust in hypercars make it interesting, but it has actually made it past all 3 of them pretty easily. So it does mean that, it's not really going to hinder or help any of them. You can see the Ford Mustang is a little bit damaged to its front end as well from that start being involved in that big shunt on the start finish straight on the start of this race. So maybe carrying some gremlins from that, but obviously isn't showing pace rise. Anyway, we'll come back to the lower top 10 in the hypercar field. It's Daniel Chavez up against Runa Bertolson. Nice to see Daniel taking part in the series in the BMW against the Proton competition. Porsche currently running behind at the moment. They've also both got to think about the threat of Dave Spinner running in 10th position as well. Could easily join this battle. As you can see, he's not far away from this rear-facing camera view as we look back towards the Proton competition car of Runa Bertolson. Isn't really close to scope for a move yet. Is getting a little bit eager. They're trying to take some tire lines, trying to take the alternate lines to foot. the BMW under some pressure, but it doesn't seem to be working at the moment. The gap is around 5/10 separating the pair of them as they now come through the Le Mans S's and now up towards the big back straight here that will run them down towards Sunset Bend, and it seems to be a bit done enough to clear a gap to Rune Tolson. Now there's maybe a little bit of a slipstream, but actually no, maybe not though, because the gap is now just peaked above 5/10. So the BMW doing a good job of trying to stabilise this battle. The only issue is it has just locked up and gone very wide, so that's going to give Bruno Bertolsen the opportunity coming onto the start of the straight. He's going to slip it into the slipstream, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the Porsche to go for a move into turn one. We'll have to wait and see. They'll jump onto the brakes now. The BMW runs wide again, so the Porsche is getting ever so close. They'll run up towards turns 2 and 3 now, jumping onto the brakes. Bruno Bertolsen, and always really close to the rear, but it's just going to be a really tricky move to try and get past the BMW, though maybe an opportunity down there. 310 separates them back into the slipstream of the WRC run into M car as we come into the braking zone now, and the Porsche still isn't close enough.
Yeah, not as it stands, but yeah, still just keeping up with Daniel is Runa, putting the pressure on, waiting for a mistake, waiting for an opportunity, keeping it tidy, and just putting the pressure on as he gets onto the brakes for a corner name I don't know so we'll carry on. But staying under the rear wing of the BMW, which we haven't seen much this season. Chavez, I don't think has been a regular driver so much. I think he's had a lot of sign-outs, so I don't get to see much of that BMW, unfortunately, but it is a great-looking car, I think. And the Porsche in the background as well, obviously, of Dave Spiller getting closer and closer to Bertolsen and Chavez, so we'll be happy that these two will be stuck together while he is able to catch up and put more pressure on. 4/10 quicker. Last lap was Dave Spiller quicker than Runa, and Runa just catching a bit more to Daniel Shepard, who's made a bit of a mistake there, going a bit wide as they came through turn 15-16, I think, heading down towards 17. We see Runa there just obviously latched onto the back of the BMW, trying to get as much slipstream as they can out of the hypercar in front. And again, Dave Spiller getting closer and closer to this pair, just edging ahead of the inside is Runa as they come onto the start-finish straight. BMW almost into the wall there, and the Porsche behind really is ready to strike at this point. Porsche in the middle, trying to get through and pass the McLaren GT3. Looks to the inside of turn 1, thinks better of it, I think, as the BMW cuts off, sweeps down the outside. But has he gone wide himself? He has. Lets these two come alongside. Now as they head up towards turn 3, 4, and eventually 5, obviously. And that's Runar slipping ahead of Bertolsen. Sorry, that's Bertolsen slipping ahead of Chavez. And now here comes Dave Spiller, I think.
Yeah, Dave Spiller joining this battle, but I don't think Daniel Chavez is down and out. He does seem to have decent pace in that BMW. It just seems the little mistakes are creeping into his driving, so he's not going to give this one up very easily, and it's still right on the rear. The Porsche himself has made a mistake. Rune Bertolsen runs very wide into the headwind, and that's going to give the inside to the BMW M Hybrid, and he's through. Daniel Chavez goes back up into 8th position. Dave Spiller is getting the front row seat of this battle, and nearly into the back of this battle. Has to jump onto the brakes very roughly there to try and make sure that he doesn't run into the back of Rune Bertolsen. Doesn't in the end. So now as they go for the S's up through turn 10, he's sideways, he's lost it, he's lost the rears up, and somehow Rune Bertolsen has kept the car facing in the right direction. Massive slide on. We'll go to a replay here. Here it is, Rune Bertolsen right on the rear of the BMW M Hybrid of Daniel Chavez. Goes onto the brakes and goes, oh, you're a little bit closer, and goes sideways and tries it around the corner. Don't want to do that in a hypercar, do you, Sam?
No, you certainly don't. Luckily, only losing one position, but you know those flat spots in those tyres, I'm sure, will be not helping whatsoever. So Rune Bertolsen dropped out of that battle, unfortunately, but leaves Dave Spiller to pick up the pieces against Daniel Chavez. And this is keeping Nick Mandat, who themselves are in a battle with Zach Silver. A lot of breathing room, 12 seconds of breathing room, in fact, between these two. Obviously, Man's going to pressure Zach Silver all he wants. Now, there's no risk of him losing anything. There's so much of a gap behind. And Didi in chat saying, wow, he was a lucky boy. Indeed, he was. Nearly collecting Chavez. Luckily, just avoided him, which is always nice when that happens. So, obviously, with Manda's battling as well, we've also got Temenga in the GT3 field, who briefly was 3/10 away from Yaroshenko. But I think the lapping hypercar is just unsettling things a little bit.
It's just getting in the way of this battle. And it's that battle we were just with Chavez and Pitolfson that's caused all that. Battle speed split up and it'll go off. It's Alex Barkin. It's gone off, I believe, at turn 3 there. It's just gone into the sidewall. We'll continue on, but you can see it has a little bit of front end damage now on the Ferrari 296. As he comes up towards the hairpin, will jump onto the brakes. Doesn't look too damaged though, that car. Doesn't seem like he's having to fight in this straight line too much. And a little bit of a slow exit from the hairpin, but actually that car doesn't look too bad considering what it's just been through. Nick Manders and Zach Silver, this battle continues on. They come through Le Mans. It's now onto the back straight. Again, Nick Manders already close enough to apply pressure here to Zach Silver. It is within the slipstream, has come within 4 attempts, but is not really going to be close enough to try and slip that car down the inside. They'll come into brain zone now. I think nearly gets all 4 wheels off the ground there over a bump, does Nick Manders, just showing the absolute madness of that corner with its, well, just jumps instead of bumps, I think, at that point. As coming into turn 1 now, the Cadillac one's a little bit wider through here than Nick Manders does, and it does close the gap down ever so slightly. Still around 4 attempts separates these two as they turn into turn 3, as the Porsche does seem to be the one with more pace, but has as we followed him a few moments ago, he does have a few mistakes within them as well, as the gap comes down within 3 attempts. Yellow flags out on circuit as well for a pretty lengthy period of time. And Zach Finney, that is the car in 2nd position, was fighting to stay ahead by the looks of it. Alfie Bevan there, as he's always just lost it himself going around the hairpin, maybe caught a little bit of that sausage curve on the inside, and it's enough to rotate the number 7 Toyota to the inside of the circuit.
Yeah, and enough to drop him down to P5 as well, and obviously promoting Shahabi up to the podium spot, and Angelo Scotti up to 4th as it stands. I just saw Alfie Bevan up 12 places, up to 2nd. Did we have any doubts? He's come from the back of the field, incredible pace all season, and now is lapping over a second quicker than every driver behind him as it stands. Last lap was actually a second quicker than Ben Shorley as well, who's in the lead of the race, so we'll be catching up soon and putting some pressure on. But let's have a look at Virtual Energy as well. Obviously, that is something to consider, along with tyre life and and fuel, those other kind of things. Let's have a look at the only thing we can look at, which is Virtual Energy. So is it going to work? Let's try that again. Virtual Energy. There we go. Bevan and Shorley are fairly similar, slightly lower than the rest of the field. So those two are really pushing there, perhaps.
Yeah, you can see, actually, as you say, much lower, 48.7%, whereas the rest of the field is in the mid to low 50s, with Scotty on 53, 54, and the highest drivers currently being Sebring, Pitolfson and Manders all running on 56%. So, yeah, just shows how much they're pushing. And it's interesting to see that Ben Shorty's pushing that much, because I think when we've seen him at the front of the field in the past, but I'm pretty sure when I think back to Monza, was doing a good job of saving at the front of the field to try and just edge out his advantage, make sure that he can use the power when he needs, or shall I say, the energy when he needs it, in order to kind of make sure the gap stays where it is. But yeah, it's obviously been pushing quite hard in the early stages of this one, and it's really showing just through the virtual energy that they have been using. Anyway, Nick Manders onto the back of Zach Silver still, but no way through as it currently stands. Actually, maybe there is coming out of the corner now. We'll go to the outside, and is going to really bang towards Rob's wheels a little bit there as they come through the corner. We'll now head down towards turn 14 for Bishop now, and it's Zach Silver who stays ahead by 3 tenths from Nick Manders. Manders closes up massively under the brakes though, and actually runs a little bit deep into the corner, so it doesn't help too much in the end. They'll come through the Monesses, now onto the back straight again, and the gap is closing down. It's less than 3 tenths, and this could be the opportunity Nick Manders has been looking for as they come into sunset. Really looks to the inside, he doesn't in the end, just isn't close enough to get the front end of the Porsche down the inside. It is Nick Manders that is going to stay ahead in this battle. Maybe an opportunity into someone. It'd have to be a very late lunge from Nick Mandius to try and get that car up on through. We'll have to see. They're coming. Someone looks to the inside, but it's covered off by Zach Silver, who firmly closes the door shut. So they will continue for now in 6th and 7th position.
Indeed, brief yellow you flagged there as well. I'm not sure who that was for. Unfortunately, these two having a real battle here, trying to stay ahead of each other, obviously, and building that gap as well up to Daniel Shavel. Now 16.5 seconds. So despite this battling, doesn't mean nothing. They are still pulling away. We've also got Dave Spiller, who's really pressuring and filling the mirrors of Daniel, and Bruno Bartos's caught back up again, but obviously with a little less tyre life, I'd imagine, and maybe just waiting and holding back this time and seeing what Dave Spiller can do before striking themselves. Just look at the GT3 field as well. Tim Bob's actually the closest gap, I think, down in P7, I believe, on the back of Dave Selecki, but we'll stick with this. These couple of Porsches and the BMW ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of situation is what you see in racing. I don't think Bruno's going to listen to me though, but when you see in touring car, when the driver's pointing to, I'm not going to attack you, attack the car ahead, work together, and this is what the two Porsches need to do right now. Bruno needs Dave Spinner to not be defending from him, but attacking the BMW, so then he can get past the BMW, and then he can start his battle with Dave Spinner. He needs a little bit of patience because both these cars are quicker than BMW, but now, because they've both been fighting, look at that, Daniel Chavez has scampered away up the road ever so slightly, so it's not working in either of these drivers' favour, because it's just allowing Chavez to relieve some of that pressure from themselves, and it means they can just focus on themselves and get pumping in those faster lap times. So they have calmed down ever so slightly now, but this gap has opened up a little bit now. Nearly a second between Spinner and Chavez. A blue yellow flag there. It is for Johnny Ashley, who's had an off there. Let's see what's happened to poor Johnny here. So he's coming up towards the hairpin here. Not the hairpin, he's heading up towards turn 10, I beg my pardon. Turns come around the corner and just seems to lose it on that kind of looser, kind of bumpy lines bit of tarmac. And yeah, just a short half spin. He covered it up quite quickly, but it's lost out on a few positions.
Yeah, indeed. Has done so. Still sitting, P5 or so. Tim Bob just getting past Dave Selecki, by the way, in the background there. Let's have a little look how that happened, because I think that just happened. Yeah, Tim Bob here in the McLaren. Is Dave Selecki in the McLaren ahead? McLaren indeed, so he makes a mistake, does Selecki, and that gives Tim Bob the opportunity to slip on by alongside the Ferrari hypercar there. So great timing that Tim Bob was able to take advantage of that.
Just right place, right time there for Tim Bob in the oNiD Autosports, running at 59 McLaren, as we come back to the battle between Zach Finney and Angela Scott as they come up towards Sunset Corner. This is Finney trying to recover from a spin a few laps ago, down at turn 7 in the hairpin, as he's right onto the rear, about just under 4 tenths back from Angela Scotty. As we come into turn 1 now, Angela goes a little bit wide, so that is, and there's Alex parking on the inside, so it does mean that Angela doesn't have to worry about the Toyota pulling alongside there. Then he gets rear-ended there by the LMGT3 car, but just about gets away with it. The other thing to pay attention to as well, Angela not too far back from Alex Shahabi either in this battle, so this could easily become a three-way fight for third position in the hypercar field if Angela is able to carry on this pace and get up towards the rear end of Alex Shahabi, which would be helpful because it does mean then she can attack Alex Shahabi, and then put a car between herself and the Toyota that's currently trying to get through. And as we head into turn 10, the two McLarens of Dave Selecki and Tim Bob are getting in the way of this battle as well. Has slightly helped Alex Shahabi, who extends that gap by a tenth to Angela Scott, but it does mean that Toyota hasn't been hindered at all through that, as who's still really glued all over the rear of the 963 as we come up through the Le Mans S's now. Well, actually, there we are, into the Le Mans S's and up towards Main Straight again. 3 tenths is the gap. We have seen from previous runners, you need to be somewhere within the 2 tenths margin to try and get the move done down into Sunset. So we'll head down the not start finish straight, the back straight now. Will there be an opportunity for the Toyota? They come into the bring zone. The Toyota takes a wide line. A little bit of a lock up there from Angela Scott. It's a really tight line taken by Zach Finney. It's giving him such a good run onto the start finish straight. This could be an opportunity for Zach Finney into turn 1. He's surely going to look to the inside as they come into the corner now and decides against him, maybe realizing that actually no, spokes the inside, has that superior grip through turn 1. Wasn't dragged as wide through the corner as Angela Scott was, and through down the inside, very easily done by Zach Finney to move up into third position. And the nice thing is that battling hasn't cost either him or Angela Scott any time, so it does mean they're both right on the rear of Alex Shahabi as well. So this is going to become a battle for third position, and the good news is for Angela Scott, Finney's not going to be able to use his pace to get away here because he's going to be forced to go the same speed that Alex Shahabi is at the moment. So this is going to become quite a tasty battle as we have a lengthy yellow flag. It's Dave Chalecki, another mistake heading up into turn 4. It's on the inside grass there of that corner as it's too wide for the lower battle in the hypercar field, but it's also too wide for third position, and through goes Zach Finney. Could be fourth as well. Angela Scott to the outside into turn 11. Is going to try and make it work around the outside. It's still there running on the curb, but it's going to be pushed behind Temenga. 3 wide, has to get the shoulders out, pushes Alex Shabi to the outside of the corner to make sure that Angela could get past the Mustang, and that is the position up into fourth, and still right behind Zach Finney, who's trying to get past one of the BMWs.
Yeah, Alex Sharpie still scrapping all over the back of Scotty, trying to find a way around, but here comes another BMW to block him slightly. Tucks back under the wing of the Porsche ahead as they head up towards 1070. But look at this traffic, there's so much GT3 cars, so many GT3 cars here to deal with. Pulls the inside briefly to have a look and feel the mirrors of the Porsche as they bump. They're so bumpy through this corner, trying to go around here and stick with your opponent, avoid the GT3 traffic as they head up towards the start-finish line for another lap to do it all over again. Long left-hander though coming up. Maybe a bit of opportunity here, maybe a room for errors though for the drivers to make. But yeah, what a series of events, and luckily they're all still pointed the right way without incidents and any kind of major contact really as they head through sector 1, still keeping their eyes peeled for the opportunity, still applying the pressure to the rear of their opponents' cars.
And also further down the field, we did see 2 wide between Chavez and Badolson. Actually, here it is now, as Spinner has fallen off the back of this now, 1.3 seconds back. So I don't know if there's been a mistake from Spinner over that last lap, but it does mean that Rudy Badolson can solely focus on trying to take this battle to the BMW M hybrid of Daniel Chavez. Then we're all being held up by the McLaren there as well, so that's been quite helpful. Left yellow flag, and it's Joe Pinder, and the Peugeot has had an off. That's the Peugeot as well, that massive pile-up at the start of this race. And, well, it's just basically going through turn 1. Comes up towards turn 3. Do they catch the pass under braking? Oh, no, it looks like a real error or something. It's just lost steering. The car doesn't make any effort to try and make the corner and go straight on into the outside tyre wall. It's got the car going again, but currently runs in a 11th position and will have some damage to the front end of that car now. Dave Spinner right onto the back of this battle again now, and it makes it 3-way fight for, I believe, 8th position.
Yeah, 8th position indeed, as there is a 22-second gap between Chavez and Manders, who's having their own battle with Zach Silver up the road. There's a gap then towards that 3-way battle we saw of Scotty, Harvey and Finney, but we'll stick with this 3-way battle. There seems to be so many of them tonight. Obviously, Spiller caught up at the back of Bartofson, as you said. There's a yellow flag for none other than Ben Shawley.
Race leader has dropped to 2nd position. Alfie Bevins takes the race lead, and this is why Ben Shawley on the curbs, turn 4 into turn 5 now. Coming up towards the bridge, just gets on the grass, loses it all by himself, no pressure on him at all, and bang, rightwards into the tyre wall. That's going to be damage to the Peugeot, and Ben Shawley still parked at the side of the road, down to 4th position, probably head in his hands. Can't believe what he has done, literally thrown the race lead away and handed it to Alfie, who's started 14th in this field and now is on for a win in this field. And oh, well, that's absolutely going for Ben Shawley, who I think we've lost from the server now because I can't see his name popping up So yeah, DNF on the race. That is absolutely going by the race leader in the final round of the championship. But it does change things as it stands at the front of the field. This becomes a battle for second position between Angela Scott and Zach Finney. Is about 7 tenths between them. So the gap is opening and down the inside. Contact, big contact. Zach Silver off the road. Nick Manders is forced to move. And it's not paid off running. I think that was into turns 13 there, and it's just they've both come together, as you can see, into turn 10, and Zach's made a mistake, and Nick has gone, right, I'm going to go for a move here, I'm all over the rear, Zach, I'm going to come through, I'm going to the outside, I'm going to switch back to the inside, and it's just judged it too late. Zach's got on the brakes, and the Porsche hasn't, and he's gone straight into the rear, and that is that's a big one for poor Zach Finney and Nick Manders.
Yeah, quite the big incident there. We just switched to it, and yeah, unfortunate really, because as you said, there was a mistake made by Zach Silver, was it? And that gave Nick Manders a mega run, and unfortunately just at the wrong point, and there's nowhere to go except into the back of the driver. Let me just have a look. We are still in a replay. Bear with me a moment to get us out of this. There we go. Back to normal again now. I say back to normal. But yeah, let's resume with this three-way, shall we? Chavez, Spiller, and Bertolfsen just ahead as they continue to lap some more GT3 traffic. Also kind of approaching the outer window of the pit stops. I don't think we'll see it this early, but we have seen them between now and without 15 minutes to go. One stop, two stop, we don't quite know. We'll have to wait and see, to be honest. Some GT3 cars have stopped already, obviously, due to incidents early on the race, but majority of drivers are obviously continuing on without a stop yet. But as you said, by the way, our very own Nico Hulkenberg, Alfie Bevan, up leading the race somehow. I mean, it was somewhat inevitable, but I didn't expect it to happen this quick.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't expect him to lead the race. Ben Shortley has been a very quick driver over this season, and it was going to be an 8-second gap. It was going to be a pretty tall order for Alfie to try and win this one. And well, it's Alfie, isn't it? And he's on track to probably win this one now. So as we come to Anton Smaker and Johnny Ashby, who are currently fighting for. I'm just looking where they both are. Johnny's currently in 15th position, so I take it that Anton Smaker is 16th. Yes, actually, no. Why have I said that? That's the three. So Johnny's currently in 4th in the GT3 field, so this is the fight before in that field. So Mustang up against the BMW, as they've also got one of the Ferraris running up ahead as well. That is, I believe that isn't the Yaroshenko car, though. I think that's one of the other Ferraris running in this field. There's Yaroshenko, so yeah, they are lapping. I think that, well, I'm sure that's Bruskin's car ahead of them, but not running on the same lap, so it could be one of the other LMGT3 Ferraris. Oh no, it is Bruskin, who is running behind, who seems to be going a lap down to the rest of these guys. So as it stands, currently runs in 21st overall in this race, and outside of the battle for the overall he's off the knee lap anyway. Zach Silver trying to go around the outside. Well, actually, no, Nick Manders trying to go around the outside. Silver pushes him off the circuit and actually runs a little bit deep on the brakes. And Nick's like, thank you very much. I'm just going to take the inside corner, get you on the switchback, and move done and dusted there. So Nick Manders threw cleanly in the end past Zach Silver and up into 5th position overall in this race.
Yeah, finally got that job done. Obviously, both those drivers probably carrying a little bit of damage as well anyway. So we'll kind of be fighting amongst each other, I believe, to the rest of the race. Obviously, Nick, 16 and a bit seconds off of Shahabi up in P4. So, you know, this might be the best they can do unless some wild strategy mishap occurs. We'll have to wait and see, obviously. But with these two being 20 seconds off of Shabazz behind as well, they're kind of in a bit of no man's land just with themselves. So might as well have some fun and battle amongst each other as they can. Speaking of Chavez, Spiller obviously is still behind him, and so is Renaud Bertolfsen, who's dropped off a fair bit, to be fair. So it just leaves Dave Spiller in the Porsche battling Daniel in his BMW. Kind of a constant eternal battle as well. Again, maybe, you know, pits all mixes up. The gap is barely half a second, and you know, you can lose or gain that time to pits so easily. You know, a little later on the entry, just a little bit too much fuel, avert energy, and that's easily half a second.
Yeah, so this battle is far from over. Is trying to go on the outside of the BMW of the Porsche. I mean, was the BMW, but it gets blocked off by the Porsche in the end, and it does mean that the LMDH running Porsche, Dave Spinner's car, has been able to get back onto the rear of the BMW. Sabrina Thompson also has made a mistake and fallen behind these two again, so it does mean this is now for a position between both of these drivers. I'm sure Verona will be back onto the rear of them as long as they keep battling, as the Daniel Chavez is marginally ahead of Dave Spinner as they now come on to, well, not really a back straight, but kind of this long right-hander up towards actually called the Big Bend. You're running up towards turn 7 now as they come into the braking zone again, and often, yeah, kind of, well, we're not really in the overtaking part of the circuit yet, so it doesn't mean that Dave Spinner's not really an opportunity to make a move, and he's not really in the distance to make a move either. 6 attempts being pro for these guys as it stands, as they come up towards Atal Pascal and try and big lock up for Daniel Chavez, as that's going to open up a door for the car off to the outside, and there's Johnny Ashley. Matt Townsend from running in the podium positions. I believe he was actually leading the GT3 field. Please correct me, Sam.
No, he started on pole, but obviously after the opening incident has been at the back of the field since then. So Athabasca still leads the GT3 field, but yeah, Townsend unfortunately way back down the order now.
So yeah, Matt Townsend just obviously one place from time. Luckily, he wasn't collected by the fighting LMDH running cars. As Dmitry Ishchenko, that's not good for their championship. Currently sits third in the LMGT standings, and was, I think, running ahead of both championship competitors as well. Tyre Hammers was involved in that one incident again, just caught out by that bumpy bit of tarmac, and all that spray heavy front end impact out of turn 10. Dmitry Ishchenko moves them behind to Menga, so it does move Johnny Ashley up a few positions here. So Johnny currently now running in third in class. That would see Johnny Ashley scoring 30 points, and well, with him in fifth, 20 points. So essentially this could see Ashley move up ahead in the, as things currently stand, in the LMGT3 field, and could finish on the podium in the championship as Danny inside improved goes Dave Spinner. A little bit of a wide moment for the BMW, and yeah, easy as you like for a Spinner.
Indeed, and has kind of gotten past that cork in the bottle, if you like, but you know, Chavez isn't disappearing. The BMW is sticking with the Porsche there for now, and obviously that might give Potowson a chance. We can see him in the background there to catch up. I say that Chavez has a big issue onto the grass there. Managed to hold it to his wing, hasn't lost any tyres, and will make it really easy as well for Potowson to slip on by.
I was going to say, can I make a suggestion? Is it kind of a few lockups we've seen from Daniel Chavez? Is he kind of taking the life out of his front tyres, and this is what we're seeing? Just this is why these few mistakes are leaking in.
Yeah, possibly. You know, possibly they have been on those tyres for 40 minutes, you know, plus whatever torture these drivers are you know, giving to those tyres, and any lockups and spins and things like that. So it all adds up when you get to this point. You know, sure, at the time it doesn't feel any different, but you know, the delta just gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. Tamenga, by the way, caught up to Johnny Ashley now. Once obviously that spot on the podium, and yeah, it looks like he's going to have a good fight for it. Was quicker than Ashley last lap, obviously, as he's caught up. And actually, Ashley, though, half a second quicker than Tamenga on his best lap. So Ashley does have some pace. Dave Zalecki having a moment in the McLaren. Let's have a replay of that. But maybe Ashley just managing on fuel for a little bit and trying to get the strategy to work. Let's have a look at this replay.
Yeah, so coming into turn 3, slight dip of turn 2 there. Turns the car into the corner, and it's just, yeah, lost it on the apex. I think probably clipped the back end of the curve, which ends up the car, and that's going to be another off potentially for Dave Zalecki there, as oh my gosh, flying cars. There we go. Back to the battle between Dave Spinner and Daniel Chavez. Oh, that's a big off. That's massive. Dave Spinner has just locked up on the brakes by the looks of it and gone straight on there. He's got the car going again, but just caught, I think, broke on the grass, I mean, there, and obviously meant the car completely locked up, and he just gone straight on into that outside tyre wall of turn 3. That was big. Oh, and that's even bigger for Dave Jalecki, now missing their rear wing and front end. This is later in the lap. This is past the hairpin, so that car, a loss of damage on it, and well, yeah, that is going to have to try and grab its way back to the pits.
Yeah, let's have a replay there for Selecki of how he lost his wing. We saw Dave Spiller there, so all the Dave's having issues. So he's already lost his wing, obviously. He gets onto the brakes, and that's just not going to be compliant whatsoever. Avoids any of the cars, obviously. Rolls off the track into reverse, I think, and gets going again eventually.
If I'm to theorise, before we went to the Dave Spinner replay, we saw, going through the big bend, we saw Dave Jalecki massively sideways again, big old ball, he's sideways onto the track again in the middle of the field. Multiple hypercars having to go left, right and centre to try and avoid the McLaren. That's now stricken in the middle of the circuit. That is it for Dave Jalecki. He's out of this one. Bo Binder and I think our race leader, Alfie Bevan may have even been involved in that. Oh, poor Dave, was driving the car too quickly back to the pit lane, and that was huge.
Yeah, just a lot of speed there onto the brakes, up into the air. We do see another hypercar there, the Porsche and the T3 having to cut the corner there. Didn't quite catch who that was. Didn't quite catch who that was in the hypercar, unfortunately. But yeah, what a big incident. And obviously has to retire without a tyre. Has to retire without a tyre. Yeah, that works. Unfortunately, but that's always the way when you lose a wing. It's such a challenge to get back, and you have to be so much slower than you think you can be to try and get back to the pits and get going again. Unfortunately, but yeah, not this time. Unfortunately.
What did Dave in chat? I think it's a bit more.
Yeah, indeed, too much speed. Yeah, certainly was way too much speed. Unfortunately, Dave Spiller. Obviously getting on his way again after that jump scare of his life, I'd imagine, behind Joe Pinder in the Peugeot just ahead. We've also got Angela Scotti knocking on the door of Zach Finney for P2. Now under a second is the gap between these two, and I imagine here comes the lifting and coasting. Let's have a look again at the virtual energy as we do near the pit stop window, even more so. Let's have a look. This button here. So Bevan 9%. Wow, really is going through it. Is Alfie Bevan, Finney, Scotty, Stevens, and Shahabi about the same, to be fair. But Thompson's done really well, 20% there, and Watson obviously 25%. So bit of a difference, but I don't think not enough where it matters, unfortunately. And if we kind of assume a 1-to-1 virtual NT fuel kind of ratio, that's kind of what the driver's trying to aim for, as is a yellow flag for Runar. Yeah, they're all doing quite well. I think there'll be a number of laps yet before a pit stop as Daniel Chavez has an issue in the BMW, gets back past Runa Petovsson off the circuit. So I think the game might mandate that he has to give that back. We'll have to wait and see.
And I think the thing is as well, Runa is not running quickly. I think he has suspension damage from that off at turn 1. So it does mean that, well, look, the pace is not there, and that is not the way you should be holding a steering wheel. So obviously a lot of damage. You can see he's just trying to get the car back to the pit lane. Hopefully it doesn't snap like it did for poor Dave Schlecki just a few moments ago. But yeah, we'll have to see if they make it back to the pit lane. There's Angela Scott up behind Zach Finney. The gap now down to 5 temps. Both of them running with the same amount of energy now. Quite impressive by Zach Finney to get that back down compared to how little they had nearer the start of this race, as they come through these few S's now up towards, well, through turns 5 now up towards turn 6. So the gap was still about 6 temps between them. This battle continues on between Nick Manners and Zach Silver, as Silver still keeping Nick Manders right in his sights, and actually he's probably going to start attacking Nick Manders anytime soon. He's all over the back end of the 963 as they come through turn 5 up through turn 6. Now the long right hander as they come down to turn 7. It looks like the Cadillac at this stage of the race just seems a little bit stronger on the brakes as they're running deep again through that corner. A little bit was Nick Manders And well, this battle kind of staying where it is though. 6 tenths now separates the pair of them. This is our closest battle on second, apart from Svenga versus Ashley, which is for a few moments there was less than a 10 between them. Zach Silver's gone very wide though, and off of the circuit, so that's going to put a nail in that one. Zach keeps the power rip down though, fair play, and gets back onto the circuit as they head up now up through towards turns 13, and well, yeah, that's going to end that battle for a bit. So we'll come to this battle between the LMGT3 podium position between Johnny Ashley and Smenga, as it seems that Atal Baskar has come into the pit lane, also Splinter Dolson as well. So this could be the start of our pit window.
Yes, sadly, I think we're nearing that in these GT3s. We will be feeling the pressure, having to get some fuel, having to get some vert energy soon. I think we can see there on the dash of the Mustang, the bottom right, the vert energy remaining 5.1%, I'm going to go with. So, you know, it's on the cards potentially for this lap, and indeed it is. So it's going to be a race into the pit lane for Temenga and Ashley, and they get onto the limiter, and obviously Temenga probably having to get on it a little bit earlier than he'd wanted to with the BMW ahead, so the gap at this point is going to be, you know, well, they can't do anything about it until obviously they stop and decide how much fuel and vert energy they want to top up. And now, you know, being this close to entering the pit stops, I'd imagine they're probably second guessing themselves, and maybe I can get away with just having a little bit less, get the track position, and then defend while lifting and coasting in the second half of the race.
Maybe a little bit off their marks there, the Mustang. You can see it had to be the game, had to pull it back. So as they come passing through, yeah, Johnny Ashley has got out ahead of, actually, he's got out ahead of Atal Baskar as well. Am I correct, or am I getting that mixed up with Townsend because they run the same livery?
No, that is Baskar. Baskar had a 51-second pit stop. And I'm not sure if that's really slow or if Johnny's was really quick. Johnny was 7.5 seconds.
I was going to say, Johnny's was very quick considering, well, how much longer Atal was in the pits ahead of him, how long it's taken the Mustang to get out of the pits as well. It's Johnny's stop seems, well, very quick compared to what the rest of them did. Yeah,
extremely quick. Not sure. We'll have to wait and see if that plays out, or maybe Johnny's really got that wrong, because, you know, even Temenga, 41-second stops, which, you know, sure, it's not as, you know, it's 10 seconds shorter than Baskar, but it's in that range, you know, it's in that area. It's not 7 seconds. So I think Johnny Ashley will probably have to stop again and maybe trying for a 2-stop strategy, where the other driver's doing for a 1-stop. I'll have to see which one works. You know, we can but guess and speculate. As also the hypercar drivers now stopping. Zach Finney, the first to blink, it seems, in the Toyota, in the pits currently, and relinquishing his track position for some energy and some fuel.
Yes, so Zach in the pit lane as well. I think that's Tim Bob. We can see as well. That is Matt Townsend as well. Alex Barkin sitting in the pit lane. You can see there as well as they go up onto the jacks of the cars. As we see, there we go, Tim Bob leaving the pit lane as it stands. And obviously this pit lane period's filling up a lot of cars at the moment. Only goes down circuits between the LMP3 and Atal Baskar. I mean, between a hypercar and the LMP3 of Atal Baskar as well. So not really get any close battles in class as it currently stands. 3 seconds separates Atal Baskar and Johnny Ashley. Here as we'll ride on board with Johnny Ashley now as he comes up through Bishop now, and we'll come into the right and left-hander for the Mon S is now through returns. That's one of the Peugeot hypercars up behind them as well. So he turns the car into the corner, gets the back end a little bit slidey on exit as the Peugeot moves through on the inside on the start-finish chain, and we'll have a Porsche to contend with in just a second as well.
Yeah, interesting strategy there. We see on Johnny's MFT 20% vert energy, which definitely isn't enough to go to the end, but it's such a small amount. You know, you have to wonder, is this splash and dash and stop again strategy worth it just for carrying lower fuel, lower weights perhaps? It is an interesting one. We'll have to wait and see. Shahabi moves up to second, and Anta Scotti takes over the race as Alfie Bevan enters the pits. And again, this will be a measure of what will be the leader's pit stop time, and, you know, that's a kind of the yardstick, if you like, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Alfie's able to do. As there is Nick Manders in the pit lane as well, so that's put an end to the battle between himself and actually, no, it hasn't. There is Zach Silver. So both of them are in the pit lane. Silver has been able to be put back on their marks as well. So that's going to lose them a little bit of time in the pit lane as Alfie rejoins the circuit. Currently, is sitting in third position, and that should be where they stay. As Chavez is about, well, just 8 seconds, 6 seconds. His gap is closing down, but won't obviously jump ahead of Alfie, who's now up to speed and out of their pit box. So we'll continue on in third position at 48 seconds behind Alex Chappie and Angela Scotti. But obviously, both of those guys still need to stop in this race. So we'll have to see how this all works out after the pit window, as the close battle between Spinner and Runa Olsen, less than 5 tenths between them, as it currently looks on circuit. They'll come into the braking zone now for turn 10, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Through turn 10, yes, actually. Now up towards turn 12 and 13, and it's getting close between these two. 4 attempts only separate the pair of them, and as they go through the non-Estes now, it seems that Dave Spinner is the faster of the pair of them, and they will also have to deal with hyperfire traffic just up ahead of them as well. So it's going to be up to Runa Patolson to try and get rid of this other hypercar rather quickly as they come down the back straight. Now it's currently closing in is the Porsche. Going to the inside, escapes further. There's Alex Parker's the outside. Runa Patolson's been forced around the outside. Takes another riding into the wall. Has made a little bit of contact with the outside wall. Just a little bit of a spot there. I think just about got away with it. The Cadillac B-Series is also right behind them in the battle as well. Does have to pit just cars ahead of the Cadillac, but they are still fighting for the same piece of tarmac as things currently stand. And as they come up towards the braking zone now, it is Dave Spinner who's firmly ahead of Runa Patolson now. Just for one little mistake and finding the traffic at the wrong moment.
Indeed, but at least they're all still going, unlike Charlie Morgan, who's facing the wrong way. And is he missing? No, he's still got all four wheels. No. Is he? No, he's got them all.
Yeah. And has eventually got going again. And well, let's see what's happened here.
Yeah, let's have a little look at the replay. And just loses it. I think we just missed the issue, but it looked like a rear lock suddenly. Not sure what caused it, because he's not exactly in the middle of a corner. We'll go back to live. We'll have to speculate. Maybe Charlie can let us know after the race. But he's running down in deep down the order, so P13 in class, but behind several TT3s. Zach Silver, sorry, you've got me doing it now. Zach Silver, facing the wrong way, gets going again, rejoins just in front of Alex Parkin, giving him a second scare in the same lap. We'll have a look at that and see how that caused as well, if the replays want to comply. So, rejoining GT3 traffic, potentially Matt Townsend maybe gets onto the curb, unsettles the car into the wall, and it spins around. So a bit of damage there, a bit of a scare, and actually rejoins. But then does he have a second issue? He does rejoin and gets onto the grass with a wide steering tackle and jumps ahead of the Ferrari 296.
Yeah, and you can see now from our live images, you can see there is a bit of front end cosmetic damage to the Cadillac as well. And that's not going to help at all in the battle that Zach was trying to have with Nick Mendes, because Mendes is surely going to have the advantage now. Now, actually, only 51 seconds that separates the pair of them. As we come to Nick Mendes now, currently running in 6th position as it stands, 4 seconds back from Alex Shahabi, and Daniel Chavez now comes into the pit lanes as well. So the top 3 go back to their original order with Angela Scott now 19 seconds back from Alfie Evans in the end. Zach Finney in second, over 3 seconds back, as well as Nick Mendes runs a little bit wide there, trying to get around the outside. I think that was Charlie Morgan in the Jota liveried Porsche 963 is making their way past Dmitry Irishenko now down the back straight as well. And after that, has a pretty clean bit of circuit. Next, LMGT3 traffic will come into, well, it's currently going through turn 1 as Mendes comes through the final corner, so it does have a nice bit of circuit to push on now, with the only other not hypercar up the road being Alex Shahabi, who seems to be setting faster lap times with a 5-second gap between the pair of them.
Indeed.
And yeah, no, go ahead.
So just a little bit of trivia, I suppose. I don't know if it's trivia, but Alfie Bevan and Scotty, both these drivers have done their pit stop. Both these drivers spent basically the exact time stopped and the exact same time in the pit lane. I'd say down to the 10th, but my live timing might not be that totally accurate, but it's showing them as 40.2 seconds. Daniel Shepard's still in the pits, and that gives Zach Silver a opportunity to move up to 6th. Bit of a big gap, you mentioned, between Zach Silver and Nick Manders, 50 plus seconds. I do wonder what caused that.
We have seen a few mistakes from Zach Silver in the latter half of his stint and the start of this new stint as well. So I think it may just be from the fact maybe there was a longer stop and maybe just these mistakes have added up.
Yeah, I mean, he's showing spending an extra 40 seconds in the pit lane. So yeah, that would make sense actually. Very interesting. And as you said, missed his box maybe to reverse. There's a penalty showing for Daniel Chavez here, who I think has just exited the pit lane. So maybe speeding perhaps on entry or at some point.
That's the first time I don't know about you, but that's the first time in a while I've seen someone speed into the pit lane. And I don't think I've heard that penalty from ACC, but well, that's a bit of a shame for Daniel Chavez. He seems to be the only driver in this Miller and Bertolson battle that has been able to stay out of the walls, and sadly just been penalised for, presumably being a little bit too quick in the pit lane. So, really none of those three guys having any sorts of luck, and the only person that's really gained any luck out of it is Joe Pinder, currently running in 7th position, and I do believe Joe Pinder is pitted as well.
Indeed they have. Up one place from the start is Joe Pinder in the little Peugeot that could. And that's not the entire race story for the Peugeot. I think, sure, he's up one position from where he qualified, but I think after the start he dropped down a number of positions, obviously with the big incident we saw. So it's actually really recovered, 6 places or so. So excellent job really in the Peugeot. Hasn't showing, I don't think he has stopped. So that will obviously drop him down a few places. But as time goes on, these gaps are seemingly, they seem to be growing. So maybe holding on for as long as you can is working out for a lot of these drivers. Gap between the leader, by the way, and Angelo Scotti, 19 and a bit seconds. Zach Finney, 3 seconds now behind, so for the final podium spot. And in this little bit of a lull, as Johnny Ashley pits for the second time, which we expected, really. Let's quickly pull up the current points in the standings. I think it's pretty much settled for the hypercars, but let's put them up. That's not the right day. Today's Sunday. Here we go. So James Cowley obviously 10 points ahead of Alfie Bevan, but isn't here tonight. Alfie Bevan leads the race from Angelo Scotti, so will obviously inherit the lead of the class, and Scotti will be up to P2. Carter isn't here tonight. Surely has DNF'd. So there will be some other drivers, I'm sure, making an appearance there, but the gap between them and Scotty is 50 plus points, so I don't think anyone will be replacing those two. Kiesig leads the way in the GT3 field, currently is sitting second on the circuit, will probably finish in first in that category, to be honest. Baskar leads the way on track, is second in the standings, but I think there's big enough point difference where they're not going to move around. Yaroshenko third, currently in 5th, and Ashley obviously 6th, and Tyler Hammer 7th. So really the battle is Tyler Hammer, who's actually, let me get this off screen so we can see the I'll put this one on for a second. No, that doesn't help. This one? No. You'll have to trust me.
I was going to say, well, just by saying, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, it's fine. I've just found them.
I was going to say, just by saying, I was just doing some maths to work out who'd be in the top 5 of the hypercar class once Aiden Carr, because Aiden Carr disqualified from the championship, and Ben surely currently running, obviously DNF earlier. So it does mean that as things currently stand, I think it'll be Zach Finney that ends up finishing fourth in this championship, with Nick Manders possibly moving up into fifth position as well. So I think James Cowley is 168 points, so he's about nearly 110 points. Actually, no, he's over 110 points ahead of Zach Finney. So it'll be enough for them to stay inside the top three of the championship. So it should be Finney fourth and Manders fifth at the end of this race in the overall season standings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So 40 minutes to go, though. Anything can happen. You know, if we haven't candy enough, and that gives Angela the lead with the wait and see. And Tonta Menga moving up to third. Sorry.
I was going to say, all that Angela needs really is actually just to finish ahead of Alfie, because it would then mean that she has outscored Alfie by enough points. Currently, as it stands, as we saw a moment ago, 2 points between them, and based off the scoring system for the championship, there's a 14-point difference between who finishes first and who finishes in second in the race, with first scoring 50 points and second scoring 34. So just needs Alfie to spin, really.
Yeah, and lose 20 seconds and the ability to come back. So not much really.
Not much at all. I don't think we're asking too much at all.
No. Yaroshenko passing Tyler Hammer, by the way. Tyler Hammer into the pits for his stop there in the Corvette. Stopped for a little bit longer than the average, but we'll have to wait and see what strategy lies ahead for those drivers. Athel Bascal, 11 seconds clear, 10.5 seconds clear of Kiesig. I mentioned Kiesig's kind of long game as he almost slides his way through turn 13 there, in terms of lifting, coasting and fuel saving, but I don't know, 10.5 seconds, unless Bascal has, the pace from having lower fuel, I don't know if it's enough to overcome. Sure, we've seen drivers really fuel save in the final laps to avoid any mega penalties, but it looks like no one's got it terribly wrong. The pit stop times look fine for both those drivers, so we'll have to wait and see, unfortunately.
With Zato actually has a little bit of driver behind them. Here is Zig.
Yeah, I was just looking at the Verts Energy on their dash there. In chat, what happened to Shawley? He had a little bit of an incident. I have to have a little look back and see what actually happened, but yeah, had to DNF, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was it just dropped it coming out of, I think, gone to the grass when they applied the power out of turn 5. That was enough to spin to the inside, and they hit the tyre wall just next to the bridge at the big bend. So that's, and then just didn't end up moving after that, and I think left the server.
Yeah, an odd one. I'm not sure if they had engine damage or what, but they did leave, unfortunately. Menga obviously getting passed by Charlie Morgan as well. Charlie Morgan, who's effectively at the back of the hypercar field, still has 2 GT3 cars to pass before he can make any inroads towards Max Sabchuk for P12. Not looking like a great race, unfortunately, for Charlie.
Yeah, I think one of those drivers that was involved in that big pile up on the start of this straight at the start of this race, and is just just trying to get back somewhere near the front of their field. There's a yellow flag currently out on circuit. What is that for? Because it's a rather lengthy one that's come out, and actually, or is it Johnny going slowly? Let's see. It is. So here's Johnny coming through the Le Mans S's now, over the curb, and oh no, Johnny, oh no, Johnny, oh no, that's big into the tyre wall on the pit entry there for Johnny Ashley. And the frustrating thing about that for Johnny is, if Johnny's got any sort of damage, he's already done 2 stops in this race, and because he's crashed next to the pit entry, it means they have to do a whole another lap before they can bring that guy into the pit lane, and sideways, big sideways move for Johnny Ashley. Rear end first, and he's already died. That's the big one for Johnny Ashley into the outside wall on the final turn, sunset, and it's the car's on its side, and I think that is Johnny Ashley out of the race, and that is the overall podiums, the overall chance of finishing on the podium in this championship gone out of the window for Johnny Ashley, and that's it for his season with 36 minutes to go in this race.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. Big hit into the wall there. Unfortunately, 35 minutes to go. Yeah, not great really. And as I say, Tony actually DNFing now. We mentioned the start. We can have a look at the start in this lull if you like. I say that Zach Finney is 1 and a bit seconds away from Angela Scotty. We'll have a look on the Toyota for a lap or so, see if they're making any inroads, and then we'll have a look at the start from the perspective of the hypercars, I think. See if we can go on board and see what actually caused it, because we've seen the aftermath. We haven't actually seen the true cause it. I think Zach is just chilling for now. Let's go on board with Max Savchuk. I think this is at the back of the hypercar field. Yes, at the start of the race. This is right at the start of the race, obviously. Gets going. Oh no, it's ahead of this. Yeah.
So it's whoever that number 4 push, the one that was running ahead, it's whoever that is, just doesn't seem to get on the power at the start of the race. The Peugeot just does not expect it and goes straight into the race. So it's Charlie Morgan, just doesn't, there's no power from the car, just you can see, no revs at all, maybe a wheel malfunction, and then obviously none of the field expecting it, and the several runners taken out from it.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it looked like maybe Charlie leaving the limiter on there, and yeah, that's what happened, and all the drivers just not expecting your car to be stopped.
I was going to say, I couldn't really hear it, but could you see if there was there full input off his start, or was there just nothing?
I couldn't tell, unfortunately. I think the limiter was on, if I had to guess, to be honest. I couldn't tell. Although, if anyone was astute enough, did leave the limiter on. I'd say if anyone's astute enough to see the hazards and the pit lights come on, that would tell you if the limiter's on, obviously. But Matt Holman just confirming in chat. He did, and he's gutted. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's kind of set up the rest of the race for him, unfortunately. He got murdered, absolutely so, from there. And he's now running around in P15 for the last race of the series. But I'm sure it's been a big learning experience for a lot of the drivers anyway. Just throughout the series.
I was going to say, obviously, it's the first season we've done on LMU. Obviously, usually we would have an ACC series on Sunday, so first time we've done full season on LMU on a Sunday, and yeah, there has been a lot of learning curves, but we have seen a lot of improvement throughout the season. We have seen there's just obviously everyone's still getting used to this simulator, and it's just part of the learning process of it, and everyone's only going to get better at it. And I think we've seen probably from the start of this season to now, everyone has learned this simulator. We've seen a lot of drivers getting a lot quicker, doing a lot, and obviously at the start of the season as well, we've seen a lot of drivers kind of under fueling, not under fueling, but under NRGing. So it meant that they'd obviously run out of fuel before the end of the race, or they'd run out of energy before the end of the race. So we've seen a lot of less of that as the season's gone on. So it's just as we see, the more everyone uses this simulator, the more everyone starts learning, and the better everyone gets it. And it's just part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. So, and we will have a return of this format. Obviously, this is the finale for this series, but it's also the finale for the oNiD season, whatever we're on. I've lost track, to be honest. Obviously, we will be back after a break of a couple of weeks. I think, I'm not sure exactly. There are some social races, but yeah, long story short, there will be more 100 of the 100 series. So definitely a format the drivers will need to get used to. I think Zach Finney continues to lap consistently, trying to make inroads on Angela Scotty. Last lap, we're about the same, to be honest, 10th quicker in Finney's favour. Someone who wasn't a 10th quicker, though, Afi Bevan, naturally. Quick maths, 1.3 seconds quicker than Angela Scotty, so he's continuing to pull away. He's taken to this like a duck in water, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impressive, though, considering Zach Finney's pace at the start of this race, that Angela's actually doing enough to stay ahead in that. About 1.5 seconds separates the pair of them, so that could get rather interesting as we've still got 31 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this race. But yeah, Alfie, really undeniable. He just absolutely flies in that car. It's been quick all season. If I quickly just take a look at the stands, I can tell you how many times he's won. He's won more. Actually, will only be his second win of the season. That's currently one at round 3, and 3 third place finishes, missed round 7 of the championship, and is going to, this will be I'll be second win of the season. So it doesn't feel like that, but it's just been consistent enough over the season to ensure that he's in a space to be in with a chance of the championship in this final round, and because James County hasn't shown up, it looks like it's going to go Alfie's way. Another oNiD title to add to his mantelpiece. I mean, Angela's given it a good go, to be fair as well, though. Three third places for the first 3 rounds, has a lowest finish of 5th for round 5. And yeah, it's only finished off the podium twice in the whole of the 8 rounds of the championship. So it has done very well, and will match their best result of the season of 2nd position, which they achieved last time out as well in round 7. So it's yeah, Angela has been very quick over this season, and actually one of the guys that's really adapted well to this new simulator, and it's been very quick in the hypercar class. And well, we knew it had good racecraft from ACC as well, and it's really brought their qualifying forward as well to mean they can run consistently at the front of the field. As we come to Tim Bob and Tyler Hammer, they're currently in a battle for, well, they're currently 19th and 18th overall, so that would mean they're currently running for
5th and 6th.
Oh, there we go, thank you. So yeah, this is the close battle. I believe they're on 2nd at the moment.
They nearly came together before, what was it, turn 16, I think, something like that. Nearly came together, but luckily they still continue to battle on. And yeah, 5th and 6th. They're kind of, again, also in this sort of island where, besides the 2 drivers, the next driver of the road is a good ways away. So these will be the best I think these guys will do. At the moment, I think the one-stop strategy is enough for at least a TG3 field. Obviously, we did see Johnny try the 2-stop. We have also got Tyler Hammer stopping 2 times so far, and obviously has moved down a position from the start, so maybe it's not quite worked out as well as the one-stop so far in the race. Obviously, still 30 minutes to go, which is a long time, really. So we'll have to wait and see who's got that measurement right for their fuel and vertex energy, etc. As the hypercars continue to lap the TG3 field, which is something, it's such a challenge, and some of the drivers a little bit more lucky than others as far as that's concerned. In the hypercar field, Zach Finney still remains the closest dropped driver, 2 and a bit seconds now from Angela Scotty. He has dropped off a little bit from since we last saw them. Hits that curb horribly, I must say. There, and Alex Sharp also not too far away, 4 seconds. So maybe these guys are just kind of in that rhythm, that management mode, just lap, just keep it on circuit, and keep an eye on that fuel.
Yeah, all they need to do really with 28 minutes and 17 seconds to go in this race, don't really need to push at this point. Still plenty of time to try and make something of this race. As well, Alex Shabby wouldn't make you think he's not trying hard, though, because really just was pushed onto the exit road to try and go around the outside of his parking in the LMGT3 class. So he obviously doesn't want to lose too much time to Zach Finney ahead, but it's still 4.4 seconds back from Finney, so it's going to be a tall order for Alex Shabby to try and finish on the podium. But I must say as well, it's weird to see him running in yellow. I'm used to seeing him running in blue and green in the Constexus colours. I'm sure we'll probably start to see the custom liveries trickle in soon, maybe over the next season. I'm not sure what our standpoint is on that once the next season starts. But yeah, it's weird to see him running in yellow and red, but that might possibly change next season as he comes out of the final corner and onto the start-finish straight again. It's currently, yeah, still over 4 seconds back in his battle, and he's probably one of the closest cars in second. The really big differences now between the hypercar group, with most of the people under him either being 20 seconds apart or up to 40 seconds apart, and well, we'll come forward with Alfie again, who's 22 seconds up the road, and is well, really just has to try and take care of this race car and get it to the end, because it's running at a decent pace, has a lovely cushion to Angela Scott at the moment, and there's no, I mean, there's obviously a need to push because you want to sustain the gap, but it's under really no threat at all.
Yeah, I mean, I usually say, don't get complacent, but Alfie Bevan can have all the complacency in the world, to be honest. He's, sailing through these corners with ease, smooth on the steering wheel, but still able to put in the lap time. So he's looking after those tyres. He's got plenty of energy, and is just continuing to lap at an astonishing pace. That being said, last lap was 2 seconds slower than Angela Scotty, but as you say, you have that massive buffer as he flicks his way into turn 17. It's that double apex, I'd imagine. very nicely. Runs it out wide, gets his foot on the gas, obviously. He is full throttle despite the HUD lying to us. Comes across the line, obviously, for another lap. And does it all over again. And actually, kind of is lifting and coasting, I think, to a degree. But again, you can afford to. And that might be the difference in him having that cushion at the end where he can push again if he needs to, and stay out the pit lane.
He's just being smarter, because it's like we've seen, I think it's what we saw from Zach Finney or Ben Schuller. I don't know particularly who are monitor, because they obviously they kind of, the gap came down a little bit, but the reason the gap came down because the driver ahead had been lifting and coasting, because they knew if they needed that little bit of energy, that little energy advantage at the end of the race, but they had to push to try and get the race lead, they could do that. And that is exactly what Alfie's doing, is he knocks up a little bit of the front end there, a little bit of a shot to the heart there, as he a little bit incomplete under the brakes, but has got the car back 1 second again. But it's struggling to get it turned in again through turn 13, and is still getting on. But yeah, obviously, he's just trying to leave a little bit on the table. No need for him to push. He can save the energy, give himself an advantage over Angela if there is any case that Angela finds themselves catching up. And it then means that then Alfie can push on using that extra energy to push in faster lap times than what Angela is able to do.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Zach Finney still hovering around 2 seconds in third. Shahabi 4 seconds away. So, Zach Finney can't relax as much as Alfie Bevan can. Has to get past this GT traffic, as smooth and as quick as he can to keep that gap to Alex Shahabi and keep that final podium position in the hypercar field. Christian Kiesig similarly isn't too far away from Arthur Baskar. Sits second, obviously, in the GT3 field as he heads up towards the final couple corners, final long corner, whichever one you want to use. Insert it there. It's a very long corner regardless of what it is. Lets the hypercar go, obviously. It goes a bit deep, I think, running at the entrance there. But gets it all tidied up for the important part. Gets onto the power, obviously, nicely. And runs out towards the start-finish line to chase down Athel Baskar. And, last lap 2/10 quicker than Baskar as well. But 2/10 quicker than Baskar, but over 2 seconds quicker than Temenga behind. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Kiesig is just a classy driver in an LM GT3 and any GT3. We've come to learn that over at least the past 2 seasons, and it looks like it's going to be back-to-back championships. Obviously won our last ACC league, and it looks like it's going to win again in a Porsche in a GT3 series with the LMU 100 series, because he's currently the fastest driver in this field. Actually, no, he's not at the front of his field. Sorry, I just got complacent there. As is doing enough. It's done enough over this season to ensure that they have the cushion coming into this round, that they knew they didn't have to check too much about the championship if they didn't make any mistakes, of which obviously Christian Kiesig hasn't done, and has just driven smoothly and without any sort of interruption.
Yeah, exactly. Incredible. These guys are in a league of their own. Baskar and Kiesig, to be honest. The rest of the field, 206s plus they're lapping, and these two 203s. So incredible job there. I guess it's familiarity with familiar. Whatever. They're confident with this track. Yeah, that's the one. They're happy at this track. They're happy with the cars, and they understand what they need to do. To be honest, I'm just looking at who hasn't stopped in the hypercar field. And Alex Shahabi apparently hasn't, which I'm not sure if I believe that. Let me double check that with this other one. Pit stops. Oops, not that one. This one. Yeah, indeed, Shahabi hasn't stopped, as there is a yellow flag briefly for Max Sapchuk, I'm going to say. Looks to be so. But yeah, Pinder hasn't stopped in the Peugeot. We've obviously got Alex Shahabi not stopping yet either, which is pretty unbelievable. I mean, they've gone an hour and 20 minutes now. They must be running on fumes, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is there anything in that car? Are we sure? Is he got like a spare fuel tank or something? What's going on? How have you done this, Alex?
It's showing.
Actually, yeah, this is probably one of the latest stops we've ever seen. If there is going to be one, assume that there will be.
Is this just a little bug? Because Shahabi is showing us 40% energy, but he's not showing us stopped on the timing screen. He must have stopped. If anyone remembers, do let us know in chat. We're getting, I think, a bit... It's been a long race. It's hard to keep track of, 30 drivers or whatever it is, to be fair.
I thought I'd just mention as well, it's been a pretty successful season for Alfie as well, because Alfie has come second as well in the oNiD Sim Hound LMU GT3 Festival powered by Coach Dave Academy series as well. Come second with that series as well. So it's been quick in a GT3 car. I think started the season off in the Mustang, but ended it in the Lamborghini Huracan as well. So it's had a decent series in that as well.
Yeah. Very nice. Very good job. A yellow flag for Tom Watson, who's stopped facing the wall. We'll have a little look what happened to him when it loads. If it loads.
It loads. And lift music. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this is a replay, so just gets it wrong near the pit entry. Turn 15, I think. Yeah, loops it around.
And also, sorry.
That's fine. Just got going again. Yeah.
And also someone else that's been doing well in one of our championships, to be honest, in how JCW Mini World Tour. Tim Bob came out as the AMS champion in that series as well. So as themselves had a pretty successful season with us in season 3 with oNiD as well. So there's been a few drivers that have been doing well. Someone else who'd be able to open to the well at the moment is Zach Shabby, because Zach Finney has lost that gap to what was about over 4 seconds a few moments ago to Alex Shabby, and this is now going to currently be the fight for third position, so the final spots on the podium. So will Alex Shabby be able to steal the final podium of the season? He's got Zach Finney's got 18 minutes and 42 seconds now to go to try and hold on to the final podium spot. And it's going to be a tall order to try and hold on for that long, because it looks like Alex has got a lot of pace up behind as they come into the brain stone for the Mon S's now. Turns into left-hander, now into the right, now into the left again. And you see how quick Alex Shabby is pushing behind, with that back end only just sticking on the circuit, looking like it wants to overtake the Ferrari, but just enough grip to keep it facing in the right direction at the moment as they come off the accelerator, coasting into Sunset Corner. Time line taken by the turn. We know it's strong through there. We saw that from the power earlier that Zach Finney had with Angela Scott, which is able to get a lot of better entry and exit from that section of the circuit, just because the turn just seems to like it a lot more than the Porsche did at the time, and by the looks of it, what the Ferrari can handle as well. Also looking strong through the first corner as well. The gap's still under 2 tenths between them though, and the good news is for Alex Shabby is that it looks like Finney is going to be held up by another hypercar up ahead. So as they now come up towards the big bend, that Porsche moves across to the left-hand side of the circuit. It does block off Alex Shabby from going to the left of the circuit, but it looks like it goes to the right as they come into the braking zone now. They jump onto the brakes for the hairpin, but it doesn't look like Alex was close enough to get the move done that time. So still just under 3 tenths between Alex Shabby and Zach Finney. They'll come into the braking zone for turn 10 now. The Ferrari right onto the rear end as it looks like Petzielnik is running ahead of these two as well now. So they're going to have to try and get past the NMGT3 cars. The yellow flag comes out on circuit. There is Runa Tolson as they both make their way through. The mastermind does get out of the way in the end. It doesn't cost either of them too much time, but less than 2 tenths now between Alex Shabby and Zach Finney. This could be an opportunity for Alex Shabby to move into the bottom positions, because he's going to have a great slipstream as they come onto the back straight here. They'll come down the straight now, but the gap has opened up over 4 tenths between the two of them now, according to our timing screen. I don't think it is that, because they do look a lot closer, and it looks like the Ferrari was in opportunity, but he's going to look for the move. He's going down the inside, taking a lot of time corner than the Toyota is, but the Toyota takes that superior line, gets that later apex, is able to get the power on and carry the momentum onto the start-finish straight. That opens up the gap yet again between the pair of them as they come into the braking zone for turn one. The Ferrari again just seems to struggle around this the circuit compared to what Zach Finney's able to do in the Toyota. So as they come into the braking zone for turn three, turns the car into the left-hander, now quickly jink to the right, then jink back to the left again and onto the big bend now, and there is a bit of traffic running up ahead of them. As we look on our timing screen, there is a couple of bits of LMGT3 traffic up ahead. It's the Ford Mustang and Alex Parkin running up ahead as well. They come into the braking zone again, it'll end on into the hairpin, turns the car into the right hander, back on the power again, out of the corner, flicking the rear end out does Alex Shahabi, still trying to work their way through, and the LMGT3 hasn't been any help as they come up towards turn 10 again. They'll dive onto brakes again, and Alex Shahabi just still not close enough to get past that Philly. Both of them right on the edge of the circuit on that white painted line, marking the outside of the circuit. Both of them braking on the absolute limit of that, just not touching the grass as they jump on the brakes for turn 13 now. Turn the car in into the slightly banked right hander, and that's a little bit of a mistake there from Zach Finney. Gets on the turn, that's going to compromise their exit. So as they come through Bishop now, down the inside, which will turn to the outside for Alex Shahabi as they come into the Mons corner now. He'll have the inside again though, he's able to stay there though, but he's not. It looks like Zach Finney holds on to the position for now as they come on to the start finish straight, a little bit wide on the entry to the straight as well for Alex Shahabi. He's going to lose him some momentum in the straight line speed. I don't know what the time gap's doing because that is not reading the right times at the moment. There we go, back up to 2 tenths between them. That's about right. A little bit of a lock up, meaning that Alex Shahabi runs wide. It does mean he's going to break exit though, and he's going to be all into that every rejection tries to get the ball, but it hasn't been able to get it. It's going to like, and he towards turn 3, he's going to jink to the inside again, but doesn't think the better of it, and it looks like these two are still stuck together as Alex Shahabi again looking to the inside into turn 4 isn't close enough there as they come into the big now, and it's a big bend, and he's trying to get a bit of a side draft here. It's Alex Shahabi, he's brought alongside on the left hand side, but it's going to be outside for the hairpin. He's going to burn alongside, try and set it around the outside, but it's going to be shoved out wide surely by the Toyota. He isn't in the end. Very fair driving from Zach Finney, but in the end he's placed the car in a phenomenal spot to ensure that Alex Shahabi isn't able to run it around the outside. He's going to look to the outside again as they head up towards turn 10. He's going to then try and switch it back potentially. No, he's not, because the Toyota parks on the apex of the corner. 13 minutes and 15 seconds to go in this race. The oNiD Sim Hound LMU 100 is powered by Coach Dave Academy as they now head out to turn 13 up towards Bishop again. Sorry Sam, I've not let in for a while, but I haven't really seen a point to stop yet in this battle as they come into the 1S's here, and it's very close between the pair of them still, but on the brakes again, the party all over the rear. This is 2 tenths between them. Can Alex Shahabi make a advantage of the slipstream this time? He's right tucked in under the rear end of the Toyota. This could be the opportunity, but we know how strong Zach Finney is around this corner. Can Alex Shahabi follow him? He's taken the slice of line from here, and it looks like Finney's running a little bit wide, so that's going to give Alex Shahabi a bear exit from the corner. There's less than a tenth, looks like, between them as they head up towards someone. Finney defends the inside again. Still, Alex Shahabi to the outside. He's going to try and make it work around the outside, but Finney has the inside, will run wide on exit though, and is just about again held onto the position. And oh my goodness, what a race this is.
Yeah, indeed. Here's Max Savchuk, by the way, just at the inside of this corner, who was showing his cause in the yellow flags. So I'm not sure what happens there. Zach Finney, by the way, up to third, swaps around to leaves Alex Shahabi chasing him. Switch to the outside here for turn 10. Just ahead into the braking zone, but is it enough to sweep around the outside onto the brakes? The Toyota, a bit of a lock up there. Ferrari swinging the rear out as the Porsche in the background gets going again, and these two continue their battle, albeit just a little bit bigger is that gap now, and maybe a moment of peace and time for reflection for both these drivers. There's suddenly a moment to breathe, as you were saying. But yeah, 11.5 minutes to go. Really is on the ragged edge. These two trying to get that final P3 podium spot position. The Chojo
Yeah,
is
they're
really,
really-
really... Oh, go on.
Oh no, I was going to agree with you. I was going to say they're really, really going for it.
Yeah, certainly, but Chojo has so much legs on the straight. I don't know if the Ferrari can keep up, to be honest, but certainly is all putting the pressure on and ever agile in the corners as they round the way through towards starting another lap. And yeah, I certainly have to agree with you, by the way. The gaps on the screen certainly looks wrong, as the Ferrari almost pushing the Chojo along. Still says 3/10 or so, so very interesting. And even now it's growing, even though the closing up the brakes with the bump as well. A bit of a lock up to the Ferrari, nearly losing the rear. And now they're coming through 1070. So maybe hold on a second. Hold on a second, Tom.
Wait a minute here.
We were in a replay the entire time.
Oh
my goodness! No wonder.
Side by side, and it looks like Alex Shahabi is going for the lead, the third position in this race. He's going to try and go around the outside of the hairpin, squeezes the joy to the inside. The toy is not going to have any of it though. It's going to rub him, but it's not rubbed him enough. Alex Shahabi has made it work around the outside and moved up into third position. That is and just Alex Shahabi has been coming for a while now, as we've seen, and actually was a little bit deep into that corner after making through, but it's looking a little bit unstable at the rear end now, so this potentially taking a lot of out of the tyres for Alex Shahabi and could bring Vinny back into the foul. As it stands, the gap is opening up 6/10 between them now, and that makes it 2 Ferrari 9499Ps inside the top 5, only separated by the Porsche 963 of Angela Scott running in second position. Luckily, thankfully though, doesn't have to worry about the next car, because Nick Manners 42 seconds back down the road is actually a little bit of a mistake, and this could be an opportunity for Zachary to come back. He's gaining a lot down the start of his straight, just because drop 2 tyres onto the dirt on the outside of the corner, and we know how strong Zach Finney is around here. He's coming into the corner now. He's on the inside line. He's seeing that tyre line again. He's trying to stick it at the inside of the crossover with Ferrari. He's going to be close again. Under 3:10 separates them going down this start-finish straight again. They come across the start-finish line with 9 minutes to go in this race, and they could ride through turn 1 now. The Toyota again stronger for this part of the second, so they'll head out towards turn 3. Then bobbing, bouncing across the road. There's the Ferrari as he runs across the down the outside of the corner again. He's going to keep turning up his tyres as well with some of this driving, and also Mateusz Fuskin running up ahead of this battle as well now. So this is fairly far from over. 5/10 separates the two of them. Both of them run around the outside of Mateusz Fuskin. It seems that actually Gabby's got a little bit into their groove now, currently keeping the battle between 5/10s between now 4/10s between them. And as they now come out of the hairpin up towards turn 10 in just a few moments, this battle is, well, yeah, definitely far from over as it stands, and it's still our closest battle on circuit.
Indeed, really pushing on now. At least you know we're not watching the live images and why the gap was wrong. But indeed, here comes more traffic they have to deal with, and then there's a little bit of a gap, so they can get through this quickly and get underway with battling each other again. Although Alex Shahabi will be looking to use this as a bit of a breather, obviously, and Christian Kiesig wanting to let the hypercars go as quick as he can to get on with catching Baskar if he can. But for now, Zach Finney chasing down Shahabi in his Toyota for another lap. 7.5 minutes to go. And have they got the fuel right? Have they got versatility right? Have they got enough room, enough of a buffer to be able to battle and push like this? Or will one of them have to kind of, surrender, if you like, and let the other driver get on underway then? But there is a bit of a gap now. Biggest gap there's been in a long time. One of the bit seconds, obviously, thanks to the GT3 car. They were lapping, but for now, no more traffic as the Ferrari goes round the last corner, this time without an issue at the bump. We saw him before have a bit of a lock-up and unsettle the rear, obviously catching on pretty quick about how much speed you can carry through there and what the tyres are like as it stands. But we can see how how stiff the suspension is as they bounce their way down the start-finish straight and make the left turn off turn 1 and use all the exit as much as he can. Obviously Shahabi, Zach Finney trying to do the same in his Toyota, trying to shorten the track, trying to catch up as best he can. In the speed trap, by the way, half a kph quicker is Alex Shahabi, so not much is the difference in top speed between these two. So it's probably all about corner speed and confidence in braking, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and it seems like Alex Shahabi just has that little edge at the moment. From 1.3 seconds is the gap between the pair of them now. And, well, yeah, it just, that seems to be the whole battle of the race. It seems everyone else is kind of stabilised now. But Alfie's obviously still pushing at the front of the field. He's opened up the gap to Angela Scott to 27 seconds as a yellow flag comes out on circuit. It's down now 1.7 seconds. The yellow flag disappears, and then the rest of the hypercar field is separated by at least actually not 2 decimal places, but 2 digits in front of that decimal place. As rather big gaps between the rest of them, just based off of I think field strategy in a few instances throughout that field as well. And the front of the hypercar LMGT3 field is pretty separated out as well, just through how the strategy has run in this race, and just the pace of Christian Giesig, who now leads that field again. There's only retirement of this race, I think. Actually, that's I'm going to take it back. I was going to say it's only Ben Shorley. I know for a fact it is not only Ben Shorley, because we have seen Dave Schlecki and a few others drop out of this one. As we still follow Zach Finney and Alex Shabby, but yeah, this now is pretty much done and dusted by the looks of it, unless Alex Shabby makes some sort of mistake. 2.3 seconds now the gap has owned up to, and it's a bit of a shame for Zach Finney. Was running in second position at one point in this race, but it's obviously that is far from where they are now, running in fourth and don't seem to have the pace to take it to the rest of the cars. Interesting to see that Alfie and Angela pushing hard at the front of the field. They both have the lowest amount of energy at the front of the field, with 13% left, and currently driving with the most in hypercar cars. Dave Sprinter with 24% of their energy left in their class as well. So also interesting as well, Charlie Morgan quite low as well, 13% running at the back of the hypercar class as well, with Snapchat currently in the pit lane in the hypercar class as well. Is what I should think is one of the drivers was trying to come back through the field after lap 1 carnage. And there's not long to go in this race now, only 4 minutes and 25 seconds.
Yeah, not long at all. And Dmitry Oshchenko, maybe another position on the cards, 1 second away from Semenga for the final podium spot in the GT3 field. It's not totally out of the picture, particularly if, or especially if one of the drivers, being Semenga, fuel saving, as I saw, saving his vertical energy, or makes a mistake, which can be so easily done as they round turn 13, I believe now, and head towards a little bit of a kink, which is technically turn 14, but whatever. I say a little bit, just ignore it and continue on, but that's apparently a turn. So, but yeah, the Ferrari closing up to Dmitry Oshchenko. Half a second disappeared out of nowhere, and actually the gap suddenly down to within a tenth. And reason being, Tom, Semenga's in the pits. Oh,
so Anton Semenga into the pit lane with only a matter of seconds to go in this pit in this cycle. So was this planned, or was this just actually an under fueling as they come into their pit lane? 3 minutes 25 to go. Another Porsche in the pit lane as well. That's Stabchuk, as we mentioned earlier. And Anton Semenga, that's going to lose them a buttload of positions in the LMGT3 field as it stands. I'm waiting for their number to come up. So they're currently sitting in 17th behind Max Stabchuk as it stands, to 15th. But they're currently still 4th in class. No, fourth in class. Sorry, Safchuk threw me off. But now we Tyler Hammer coming through now, and Semenga's DNF. Interesting indeed. Could have refueled the car and carried on and scored some points here, but it's decided to just DNF. Maybe an incident we didn't see, or I don't know.
No, I don't know either. That's a weird one. We don't know. Max Sabjak stopped, by the way, at the start-finish line.
They've only just come out of the pit lane as well. So they've made it around one corner and then stopped on the start-finish straight. Is this maybe a car issue? Is the car stuck in neutral, potentially? Is he's accelerating and obviously the gear didn't change? So is this some sort of sim issue? I imagine so, because it doesn't look like they're giving up on the race yet. They're still sitting to the left-hand side of the start-finish straight. Luckily, it's a wide straight here at Sebring, so it gives the drivers a lot of space to run through. And oh no, it's another DNF. Max Sabchuk reset back to the pit lane, so 2 drivers dropping out in the final. Under 3 minutes to go in this race, 2 drivers go. So that is a shame for both of them, getting so close to the end, but falling short. And that brings up our DNF title to 4 cars in this race. I mean, considering the carnage we're seeing, I think that's done quite well. Yeah, but it's still pretty going to see to lose both those cars with just a matter of minutes to go in the race. But Christian Kiesig seems to have done enough to claim the LMGT3 championship for this season. Back-to-back titles, as I already mentioned, with his championship win in the RACC League last season. So it's been a good time for Christian Kiesig, and again, just showing why he's so quick in an LMGT3 car, and surely moving on to their final lap now with only a minute to go in this session. And as it stands as well, it seems that Alfie Bevan has done enough to take the title in the LMH, LMDH, whatever you want to call it, classes. Well, yeah, Alfie is not. Look at both their seasons. Alfie, it's actually not been one of his more winning seasons. He's only won once this season, and has a total of 3 second place finishes. So. And from being consistent, finishing inside the top 2 this season when he has shown up, he's missed 3 rounds this season, and actually has been deducted 5 points for not, I assume, for not scheduling that he was going to miss one of those rounds. So yeah, he's just been consistent when he has shown up, and yeah, it's just whenever the people he's been racing against just haven't been as consistent as him over this season, and it's just meant that yeah, he has found his way to the title, with this only being his 2nd win of the season. So yeah, but if you look at the LMGT3 standings as well, Christian Kiesig, I don't think it's been one of his more winning seasons. Actually, no, I take it back. He's won 4 races so far this season. This will be his 5th. Lowest finish of 4th, has failed to finish outside of the top 5, and one of their score rounds will be a 3rd place finish in the 3rd round for Christian Kiesig. So that has really been consistency, shown up to every round, and has really not put a foot wrong in the end over the season. And well, looks to have done enough to take that title. But we'll follow Alfie Bevins now through the final corner of corners. We'll go through the Le Mans corners now, up towards the back straight now, past the pit exits, has made a 31-second gap to Angela Scott, who tried their best. It looked like it could have been an opportunity for the title for Angela Scott after Alfie had to start this race all the way down in 14th position after a mistake on their 1 push lap because they were late to joining the server. But we should never have doubted him. Alfie Bevins comes round the final corner towards around 18. The honest, and that is the championship. Alfie Bevins wins both. Brilliant drive and a brilliant win for him in the end. And well, yes, he is celebrating, moving that car all over the circuit. And well, it's been another great drive for Christian Kiesig, as we said. It's kind of come across the line at the moment, because it's still got to do a whole nother lap before before they can be officially crowned winner. But again, it's a similar story for Alfie. He's been dominant in this race, over 30 seconds to Atal Baskar, who is no slouch in a GT3 car either. Has been very quick over our championships as well this season, and actually I believe is leading another one. He's done very well on the Festival Series, and I believe was when the last time I checked was leading our amateur series as well. So yeah, no slouch of a driver, but well, we know how Christian Kiesig has been in this Porsche, and well, only half a lap to go now is looking to end this race. As we can see, Andrew Scott and Alex Shabi did finish on the podium in the end, so that will round out our hypercars finish for the season with Angela Scott. That will wrap them up 2nd place in the championship, with James Cowley missing this round, who will drop to 3rd in that championship, with Nick Manders and Zach Finney should be moving up to 4th and 5th in the championship, where they have also finished in this race. As it stands in the GT3 class, I think actually Yaroshenko has done enough to score 3rd place in that class, so it will be Christian Kiesig followed by Anto Baskar and Dmitry Yaroshenko to round out the top 3 of the GT3 Championship in this LMU 100 series. And out to the final corner comes Christian Kiesig to win for the 5th time this season and claim the title. Crosses the line to win, and is very happy with that as he weaves across the line. Yaroshenko comes across the line to finish in 3rd position, as Baskar has already claimed 2nd position in this race. And that is it for our oNiD Sim Hound LMU 100 series, powered by Coach Dave Academy. And, well, that's season 1 over. And, well, if you join us in a couple of weeks, we'll see the start of season 2.
Indeed, exactly. And we'll have a look at we'll recap the full standings as Christian does his victory lap there. Let's have a look, shall we? Results. We'll ignore the gaps because they aren't correct. But here we go then. Alfie Bevan obviously coming home first. We saw that Angelo Scotti, great job really throughout the season for both those drivers, comes across the line. P2 Shahabi, again, great battling at the end there. P3 for the 2nd Ferrari in the podium spots there. Zach Finney and his Toyota, the lone Toyota, but great performance there. P4, Manders climbed up the order to P5, just ahead of Zach Silva, who we saw them battling with constantly. Joe Pinder in his Peugeot, again, the lone Peugeot, having a great race, I think, tonight. Daniel Chavez, 8th in the BMW, Runa Potovson, Dave Spittler, a couple of Porsches, 9th and 10th. We've got Tom Watson, Charlie Morgan also continuing their race despite some a poorer start, and Max Savchuk and Ben Shawley having to DNF, unfortunately. The GT3 field, by the way, something we didn't mention at the end there. Christian Kiesig obviously comes across the line first and inherited the lead, from Athel Baskar, who had to pit a 2nd time. So that's when they swapped positions. I believe Yaroshenko obviously coming across the line 3rd, Corvette of Tyler Hammer 4th, Tim Bob for a 5th manufacturer in the top 5, 5th, and Alex Parkin 6th and 7th with Matthias Fuskin. Jelinek down in 8th, Mr. Consistent having an issue, I think, earlier on the race. Townsend, who basically DNF'd, and Temenga also DNFing tonight, along with Johnny Ashley and Dave Selecki.
It's unlucky for Johnny as well. Just, yeah, I do feel for sorry, and Dave as well, because that was only a little bit of damage as well. So, I mean, it was a pretty carnage-filled race for the final one of the season. As obviously that one incident, multiple cars flipping, and yeah, it was very carnage-filled, but it kept us on our toes, and that pretty much wraps up the season.
It does, and as we've alluded to, there is another season coming. We'll have a little break. I can't remember if it's 1 week or 2 weeks, but there are social races to get involved with as well. These are more casual races, one-offs, get involved. They're a bit more fun. There's no stream, obviously, but they are always a bucket of fun. And then we'll be back for a new season. And we've slightly changed the format in terms of the season. It's 6 weeks instead of 8 weeks, so the series are obviously slightly shorter and easier to keep track of. But there will be more LMU, there'll be more iRacing, more AC, etc. But you know, it's all on SimGrid. I don't remember the details off the top of my head.
I've got them in front of me if you want. If you want. Yeah. So I've got. So next season's oNiD Sim Hound LMU Series 2, powered by Coach Dave Academy. Once again, thank you very much for that. oNiD Sim Hound 100 Series round 1 will be at Kota National and that will take place on July 20th at 7:15 p.m. in the evening as usual, with obviously the same kind of format as last season, with 15-minute qualifying session, 30-minute practice, and obviously 100 minutes of racing. As obviously this time, looking at the drivers in the field, it is hypercar full race, but we're splitting it between amateur drivers and pro drivers. So we've already got a lot of drivers signed up from last season. Obviously, Angela Scott's got signed up again. Johnny Ashley jumping up to the pro hypercar class. Tyler Hammer's in the class as well. So familiar names: Elvin Blancfist, Aidan Carter, Atel Baskar, people that you'll recognise from this season taking part once again. And yeah, as I quickly just skirt through the notes, it's looking pretty similar setup to the championship as last time. Weather wet and dry, tyre wear normal. I'm just reading through it quickly, and yeah, just kind of same setup as last time, with just obviously a full hypercar field instead of some GT3s.
Indeed, and obviously thank you so much for joining me throughout this series, Tom. It has been a pleasure, and thank you everyone in chat, obviously, every week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for racing with us. Thank you for watching. Anything else, Tom?
Well, thank you for streaming it as always, and obviously I don't think you're streaming it for next season, but it's been a big privilege streaming with you because you've brought a lot to the table. You try so hard as well. You've brought the championship graphics to the table. You've brought so many different graphics to the table. And you've just absolutely phenomenally improved the streaming, the stream qualities as well as commentating as well. So big thank you for coming and on board and helping with this.
Yeah, no problem. No worries at all. And everyone in chat is saying thank you. Yeah, no problem at all. Obviously, get involved in Discord if you're not. I will quickly put the link to it. And if you don't want to race with us, honestly, the banter is worth it alone. So do get involved there. But thank you everyone. And I'm going to head off. So good night.
Bye.